Greetings and welcome to the Soul Citizens. And it is another Sunday where we are back. This is only 2 more Sundays before the end of 2020. And I am here with some of the coolest cats in the Soul Citizen universe. We are here today, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Ow! I feel good. Oh my God, Vengeful, thank you. Right off the bat. Oh wow, 1 month here. Thank you for that subscription. Kicking us off the right way. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm back here with my illustrious friends. We're here today to talk to you guys about the topic of holiday wishes in Soul Citizen. And we know that all of you all have wishes and dreams and desires for Soul Citizen, the game, and for Squadron 42. And so today we're going to try to highlight some of those things and get your thoughts as well as the thoughts and feelings of our illustrious panel. So let me start with, I guess, directly to my left, the one and the only Special K. He's sitting there making notes already. Kelosal. What's going on?
Hey guys, it's good to see you guys. Welcome aboard. Can 2020 end soon enough?
No, you don't want it to end. Come on. Why would you want 2020 to end? It's been a great year.
Pyro, bring me pyro.
Bring you pyro. Okay, all right. I guess that's a good reason for the next year to come. Okay. And next to him, we have the man himself, always dressed to the nines, the Professor, Kimmy65. Kimmy, what's up?
All right. What's up? What's up, chat? 07. Cheers to SIG for a great year. Cheers to the community to hold the ground and keep this best damn space sim ever going. Appreciate it much to y'all. Happy holidays to everyone.
All righty. And last but not least, the man from the West Coast, the man with the most, TenthSigma. What's up, brother?
Happy to be here. 07s, everybody. Gonna be a good show today.
You know, I just dawned on me that Kimmy has a background of something that looks like it's kind of nice and sunny and comfortable because he's on the East Coast and in the South. And 10th, you've got like that straight up Northwest cold thing going on. Is that like a subconscious thing that y'all just kind of gravitated to those backgrounds?
That's weird, huh? Kimmy, you should switch spots.
I just want to pay note that I am doing social distancing because I'm staying inside.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I see it. Okay.
Fair enough.
The heat is on, Griff.
It is. You're right about that. Well, I got to say, I'm glad to be here with these brothers today. You know, it's been a really interesting year for us with the Soul Citizens. And these brothers have really been faithful, not just them, but all of our team, Seer, GG, Fast Cart. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Who am I forgetting? Did I name everybody? Seer, GG, Fast Cart.
GG.
Oh, Unique. Yeah, Unique. I mean, these folks have really been committed and hung in this year in a very tough year. And as you guys know, there's been a lot going on, but yeah, but it's been really great to be able to work with these guys and really share with you all our community, like Kimmy said, and we really do appreciate all the support you guys have given us. So we want to get into this topic, holiday wishes. I'm going to kick it off right off the bat. As you guys know, there were 2 videos that came out this week. Kimmy and I and Dig That talked about these on Friday, but I want to kind of go through them a little bit. I'm going to go through at least half of one and all of the other one. The first one is the one that came out called The Assault on Stanton. And that one kind of was just basically the piece that CIG did to display what was in Update 3.12. So I want to kind of go through that. And then I want to talk a little bit about it with these guys and talk about, you know, are there any aspects of this particular patch that really meet their holiday wishes for the game? So without further ado, let's take a quick look at that piece and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Attention, people of Stanton.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm gonna start on the far end down there and work my way back toward me. 10th, give me some feedback. Anything in there that you saw part of 312 that kind of meets your holiday wishes for things you were looking forward to, Star Citizen?
You know, I'm gonna save my top tier gifts for later on.
Okay.
But the one thing that stood out to me was, in the past, I had done a lot of mining. Right, as kind of a primary form of generating some income, and it was cool to see. And I haven't jumped in to see it yet in person, but cool to see the new improved mining UI. I think when we were looking at, I think that was a prospector that might have been doing the deal. Um, it looks like the threshold level is on the side with the control for the throttle or for the intensity of the laser on the left is what it seemed like. And so I think that to have both of those those two instruments right there in your face while you do the mining, that's awesome, because previously it used to be down the bottom left, and so that's really cool to see, or the bottom right, I can't remember now, but that was particularly interested in trying that out.
Okay, cool. Kimmy, how about you?
Just to add to what Tim said, the mining UI is outstanding, and the fact that it's building blocks in the game now, which will lend to that stability to these user interfaces that we have in mining, and they dialed it up. It's a little harder, but for me, I'm easy. It's give me the Lagrange points. I mean, it was the and I factor.
Okay,
it was just that simple.
A lot of wow factor there for you with the Lagrange points.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, and the Colossal, what about you?
I have to agree with both 10th and Kimmy in terms of the mining, because I'm a huge miner myself. So it was very, very refreshing to see them put the things that because all of us are testers, every last one of us, every last one. And it was good for them to implement those things that we've kind of asked them to do, or they even felt the need to go ahead and do. I am going to add the tractor beam, because I think that was long overdue, but exciting to see that they put the first iterations out of it, because there are certain ships that are they're going to be able to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see them move that tech from a handheld to the chips. But I also want to go ahead and throw out major props to CIG for that cloud tech. Major props, because that is amazing, and just to fly through it. Don't forget the shieldings that if that's coming in there. I believe the new shielding specs that you see with the different variations of different colors and things like that. I know that's more than one, but you can't help but just to add those other things along with it, because 312 is coming with a lot of aesthetics in the game that I think is just quite impressive.
It's cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So
Colossal.
what Colossal said, there's a lot more to that cloud tech. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just going to bring it back to Griff. Go ahead, Kenny.
Well, just the cloud tech itself, I think it's going to transform, and it's the first iteration of a lot of things. When we're talking about real nebulas that work, that will confound your user interfaces, as well as the gas tech that will supply the gas giants to Orson itself. So it's going to transform, and it's going to become a bigger a layer of gaming tech that's coming for next year.
Yeah, 10th, were you going to say something? Go ahead.
Griff, we didn't even say the first iteration of Reputation, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's in the game now.
Yeah.
So I have not dabbled in that, but I'm definitely interested to see how that leads in terms of your progress with the UEE or other organizations.
Well, you stole my thunder, because that's where I was going to go, was Reputation.
Sorry.
Well, and I don't want to. And actually, it was reminded to me. I posted it today. Morphologist put out a really good video about 312 today. If you guys get a chance, take a look at it. And that was the area that he focused on, which made me rethink my focus. Because Reputation, like Kimmy said, even with the cloud technology that's being put in, these are things that are much more far-reaching than what's on the surface. You know, when people first hear about Reputation, they think, okay, what's the big deal? But Reputation is not only going to impact NPCs and missions, but it'll also be the way we determine whether I want to hire you. You know, whether or not I want you flying my ship or engineering my ship, or whether I can trust you with a job. So this is was mentioned, that very first iteration of this is definitely a factor. But since you took Reputation, Colossal, the one I will compliment both Kimmy and 10th on is the mining enhancements with UI and the refineries, because that has now moved us to a closer step to finally wrapping up this mining career. So, it's just one more step in that area. And thankfully, unlike Cargo, which came in with just the graphics, Refinery came in with the graphics and the mechanics working, which is awesome. So that gives us not something just to look at, but something that we can actually start using in game right away. So as far as I'm concerned, they did a great job with this one. And it's kind of funny. We hear people saying sometimes on the roadmap, there's this thing of people saying, well, there's nothing in the patch, and yet and still for those of us who've been around long enough, we know that the roadmap kind of outlines the main things, but then there are also those things that get thrown in that everybody forgets about or doesn't pay attention to. None of us happen to mention the issue with the Idris, which a lot of people are spending time with in the game right now, right? That was another piece that got brought in. Kimmy told the story. Kimmy, could you tell the story the other day with your introduction to the Idris in the game?
Oh, yeah. The little box that could, and I say little box that could, it's me really trying to push the Aurora LN to a level where, if I run into trouble, I'm going to be my best at handling that ship and be formidable. So here I am going through getting certifications for being a bounty hunter, a tracker. So I'm building up, and so I'm running through these things successfully, and all of a sudden I had this one last mission, and then all of a sudden I noticed there's 3 to 4 enemies or pirates in the area. So I commence to engage. I'm wiping them out, and I take out 2, and then next thing I know, I notice there's 2 or 3 Cutlass Blacks that are in the field. Then all of a sudden this big ship, I noticed this big ship on the radar, and I'm looking and I'm firing on it, and I'm getting close, and I say, oh man, they dropped the hammerhead on me. Okay, that was cool. That was really cool. And then all of a sudden I'm just I'm staring at it because it's like, okay, this is uncommon. I'm in an Aurora, and they're sending a hammerhead, and I'm thinking how to strategize. So it's, basically I wanted to strafe behind it. So I'm going towards it in hopes of getting around and to the back of it. And as I get closer, I'm saying to myself in unbelief, is this an Idris? And my mind is refusing, to believe it because based on what Sig told us, it's parked, or it's not going to happen until we see a lot of trouble, and then it will spawn. And I've seen some of the streamers try their darndest to get it to spawn. I mean, huge numbers of players in one instance trying to get it to spawn. And so I'm getting closer and closer. And then once that reality hit me, and I'm like, am I crazy? What am I doing? And so I'm firing on it. Yeah, I'm getting hits on it. My hits are registering the shields. And I'm doing my best to stay out of its way, but it wasn't correlating. I'm not gonna have any effect on that ship. I'm not gonna have any effect, but it was beautiful to see. And I inadvertently hit a key on my keyboard, and I powered off for a moment, and I'm scrambling to power back up. 1, 2, and that was it. I exploded. 2 hits, 1, 2, right back to back, and it was done. It was over.
Now, Tenth, the difference between me and Kimmy is he accidentally hit his power button. When I saw that Idris, I would have intentionally hit my power button to try to avoid that thing spotting me in the sky. And I cracked up because I said, this brother's a hero. He's still shooting at that thing while it's coming at him. I'm like, okay.
With Aurora, you got to dodge and weave, sir.
Dodge and weave. No effect.
So
Aurora have no effect on it.
So let me go to this question, because this is a subject that comes up. And Kimmy, I actually appreciate the fact that Kimmy said I know this sounds so weird. He's been in an Aurora trying to perfect not only his firing, but his equipment, everything about this particular ship to do missions. And I'm going to say this because, as you guys know, this week it was a big controversy because CIG decided to change the respawn times for ships and introduce assurance. Now they've recalled that now, from my understanding. They've pulled back on it. So there are a lot of us who were like, wow, that's great. There were a lot of people who were like, oh my God, no. I do agree with the fact that people who worry about a 30K if they're doing something and then they lose their ship because of a 30K, that is unfair to them. But I think we've talked about it on the show that this has been a long time coming, that this was going to come where when a ship gets lost, that the times would extend and the amount of money it would cost to get your ship back would increase. And they just gave us a taste of it this week. And this goes to why we said long time ago that, yeah, you guys own big ships. Not just you guys. We all own big ships. But there's going to be a lot of people at the beginning of this game flying in what, Kimmy? Auroras, right? They're going to be in their starter ships. Because if you noticed what happened, and you guys in chat may have noticed this, if you had a smaller ship, your reclaim times were lower. The amount of cost that it took you to get your ship back was lower. I own, and me and Tenth, we're 890 jump owners, right? 890
I didn't hear you, Griff. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. TenthSigma and GriffinGamingRPG happen to both be profound owners of one of the greatest and most illustrious ships in the game, the 890 jump, made by Origin Jump Works. Is that better? Okay.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard.
Okay. And now here's the and if you were to look at the sheet for if your 890 got destroyed, it would take 4.5 hours to get that ship back. Now,
oh my God.
If your pockets are deep and you say, hey, I'll expedite my ship, it would cost you 40,500 UEC to get it back. And you still had to wait an hour to get it. Now, does that bother me? No, it doesn't. Because I knew that when I got that ship, that was going to be a part of the deal. I knew it was going to happen. So let me throw this out to you guys. Give me your pros and cons. Do you think that that CIG should introduce this, that they should have pulled, I mean, without the 30K things, we get the whole 30K thing. Do you think that the players are ready for this? And how do you think it may affect the way people play the game at this point?
You got to put this thing on at some point, because like Kelosal was saying earlier, we're all testers, whether we want to believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And so, I think you can debate on the timing of something, mm-hmm. right? Like you can say, well, now is the time because we're too focused on XYZ thing, right? Mm-hmm. But that's just a matter of perspective, right? As a tester versus a developer. But at some point, you're going to have to say, this is going to be a staple of the game, and the cost of owning that type of ship mm-hmm. is going to have to be considered when you purchase. And we talked about it before, right? When you purchase and when you take it out, and what kind of revenue you want to generate with it. So, I'm ready for it. I mean, timing wise, that we could talk about that forever, but mm-hmm. you're going to have to do it. And I think seeing a little bit of it now is going to give you a taste of the first iteration and refining throughout, but that's mm-hmm. where I would land on it. Yeah.
Kimmy, it's interesting. Both Shady Phase and Admiral Kusanagi both seem to be in the same direction. Shady Phase says it's too early for what insurance will be, but the taste that people got is better to make them think, because that's still the plan for the future. And then Admiral Kusanagi says, yeah, they changed it back like 40 to 50%, but that's stupid. Just change it and make it closer to what it's supposed to really be. Do you think that the community is going to embrace this change? Because I don't know if CIG just responded because of the argument of 30K, or are they maybe caving in a little bit because they caught people off guard with it?
Well, actually, I would have to say to you all, to be honest, I'm a little compromised on that one, because actually I saw when that actually hit Reddit and it hit Spectrum and it blew up, and I did see Tyler Witkin's response to that. Mm-hmm. And based on what he said and what I interpreted, mm-hmm. well, one of a few of the backers were saying, hey, this is ridiculous, as to what the gentleman was saying in the chat, that, hey, this is ridiculous because we're catching 30Ks, or I spawn and I fall through X, Y, and Z, and then I have to respawn again because of a glitch mm-hmm. or a bug, mm-hmm. and I'm penalized. Mm-hmm. And so they were really hot about it, and they kept going back and forth with Tyler on that. Mm-hmm. And so Tyler's response was that, yeah, we're gonna look at this process going forward, but till then we need to get that in game and see how it works to ensure that it's going to work right going forward. And once they have that, I believe, dialed in, they mm-hmm. can make modifications as to getting things right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So basically, he's kind of saying that, no, we're not going to change it right now, mm-hmm. because we need to see it work for these large ships, and then and get get the correct metrics on the balance. And once they do, then they can look at, okay, you're 30K'ing, let's change that metric, let's modify it. Until then, we want to get some stability on this. So
Okay.
it's an ongoing thing right now.
Okay. Colossal, Kimmy said the magic word that I was going to throw at you, and that's balance. What is the balance once this is introduced in the game? How does this impact gameplay when now there are these new times, longer times, when there are these higher costs for getting your ship reclaimed? Can you explain? Maybe there's some people who are playing Star Citizen who were not around or don't know all of the background behind that, why that mechanic would be introduced into a game like this. Could you talk about it a little bit?
I mean, I'll try to talk about it as best I can. I mean, but I mean, they simply want this to be, you know, like I said, the best explorative space game in the planet, right? And a lot of, I mean, we know that Chris Roberts is gearing towards you being in your spaceship. We also know there's a lot of tech that's not even in game, like the armor tech or things like that. So I'm going to throw away the 30K because we know that a lot of people are crying because of, okay, it's 30K, so we shouldn't be experiencing this right now. I get that theory, so I'm going to throw that away.
Right.
But I mean, didn't they give us 15 million a while ago? You know, I don't know if they gave it to us during that change. I don't know.
Yeah, they
can't
did.
remember.
In PTU,
They did?
In PTU, yeah, when they first introduced it in PTU, we still had the 15 million.
Okay, they gave you 15 mil.
Yeah, in PTU now. In PTU now, not
Right,
in PU, but in
right.
PTU.
Right, and then the other thing is, my whole thing is communication. If they can sit there and say, "All right, guys, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to focus in on. We'll give you 15 mil." Okay, on top of that, and that way you can help us try to figure out that balance. So if you're going to work on balance of the game, then you got to have better communication with its testers and let them know, listen, this is what we're going to focus in on. We know they throw in patches, and they said that they were going to throw in patches without them even notifying us of what patch it is. They said that, what type of patch it is. So if you're going to do something, this is significant. If you're going to do something, this is significant, which I welcome it, then I would communicate it. Let the people know that you're going to give them this much while we're testing, so that way they can go ahead and do that and focus in on that type of dynamic or gameplay. It's all about communication.
Okay. Okay. I you know, again, let's see, what is XKY? He says, I think ships will eventually be claimed without components. The wait time will give us time to collect what we need for our ship or work with something else. They need metrics eventually to help with insurance times. That's true, XKYT, XKite. One of the things they've told us too is that, as most of you all know, LTI will cover your ship in the sense of returning it to you. They never guaranteed what the time frame would be. They actually even told us that the bigger your ship, the longer it will take for that ship to be reproduced and you get it back. They also said there's going to be another form of insurance. Actually, there's two other forms of insurance. One of the forms of insurance is to pay for components, that you will pay an additional fee to cover components and cargo. That's another fee that you pay for. And for those of you who may have insurance that doesn't last, let's say you've got a 2-year, 3-year, 6-month insurance, and that happens to lapse and run out, you will be able to purchase insurance as well. So there are these ways to be able to protect yourself in game that become a part of the economy, a part of the things that you have to factor in. My biggest thing is, I always used to ask myself, you know, why would anybody have these small ships, these little starter ships and blah, 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 when not everybody, but a lot of people are spending money on the larger, medium-sized, large, and capital ships. And these guys have always heard me joke around about one of the reasons I kept my Aurora was because nobody pays attention to me, right? And some of you have found that out with ships like the Pisces. You can get around and get where you got to go. Many of you are using the Nomad like that right now. So when the game actually kicks off, and I'm talking about now, but we're talking about when it really kicks off, I believe that most people will be flying small to medium-sized ships, because one of the things they've talked about is what is going to be the risk versus reward factor when you take these ships out. Is it worth you taking the ship out? That's going to be the deal. Whether it's because you are a target or because you want to target someone else, or whether you're just minding your business. Will it be worth me having to hire some people because I want to go out with this particular ship? Maybe there are other ships you may say, if I go out and get blown up, hey, I don't care. Hey, maybe you've been blown up 4 times, and the next time you get blown up, your character's dead. So now there's a whole nother reason why you got to think about what ship you take out. There are all these factors that they're putting into the game to make us as players start to think a little bit differently. And I think in some ways we've gotten used to the whole, like last night or 2 days ago, I was out with Ops Chief. And we were out to Lagrange Point, Kimmy, trying to find the INS Jericho again. And it was 3 a.m. I was getting tired. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm tired. I've been there before, good luck. And then I was about to hit, escape. And I said, whoa, I got to park this sucker. And so, because I was just going to, log out in space, right? No big deal. No. I could have got, what ship was I in? I don't think I was in a ship that had a bed either. Oh, yes, I was. I was in a 135C. I could have logged out that way. But my point is that you're going to be thinking about now things like that. If your ship doesn't have a bed, you got to park that sucker. Okay, if you got a bed, you got to log out in your bed. Otherwise, when you come back, that ship's going to be on the clock. Or, if you want to get right back in it, you may be held up. So there's something to think about, okay?
Store it when you land.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, store it when you land.
It.
Yeah, store it when you land as well. Okay, that's a good.
Be careful, Gladestone. They lose all track of time.
Yeah, the old men, with our beauty sleep. Don't even start. Okay, don't even start. Okay, listen, I'm going to ask a favor from you guys. We're going to watch this next piece, and this next piece is part 2 of the Inside Star Citizen. But I'm going to ask a favor from you guys as our watchers. Let me see if I can get this to come up. Of course, it didn't come up. I'm going to be putting a link in chat once I start this video, and I'm going to ask that if you haven't done it already, we put out a survey this week asking people what was their Christmas wish from Star Citizen. What's the thing that you would like to see? I think there are 12 categories, and you can pick 4 of them. So we're going to ask that while this video is coming on, if you would click on it, go to it. It only takes a couple seconds to do the survey because we want to take your results and include them in what we're going to talk about today, and then get your feedback on whether you think what people from the community have said they want to see next in the game, or some stuff that they may put up there and say, we don't want to see that. So we're going to go ahead and start the video, and then I'm going to put the link in the chat, and then you guys can take a look at it. Here we go.
It's no secret that 2020 hasn't been the easiest of years for most people or many industries. But thanks in part to the shared support of the Star Citizen community and to our own existing distributed development organization,
Okay, there's the link.
This year has been a notable one for a wide range of additions to the persistent universe. So it's for this reason that we thought we'd take a few minutes and take a look back at some of the highlights that made this year a truly unique and memorable one in the continuing development of Star Citizen.
2020 started things off with the long-awaited additions of the Cutlass Blue and Red. These colorful variants would not only serve as important milestones in the continuing development of Bounty Hunter and medical gameplay respectively, but the Red would also introduce Star Citizen's first mobile spawn point, forever changing the dynamic of group activities in the persistent universe. In Alpha 3.9, the first major content patch of the year, we saw the arrival of new Babbage, which immediately set a new standard for quality and style in landing zones throughout Star Citizen, as well as 3 brand new moons in Calliope, Clio, and Euterpe, which added entirely new worlds for players to explore and adventure upon. The patch also saw 2 fundamental shifts to the way players venture through the persistent universe. With the addition of the actor status system, the need for consideration and choice came to the forefront when players discovered their characters could now succumb to the environments around them and suffer the consequences of activities they participated in. That last one would be especially important now that the Kleischer automated prison was online, which instantly added a punishing adventure for those who were caught running afoul of the law, but also allowing greater rewards to be offered for those who succeed in a criminal lifestyle. Greater risk, greater reward. Overall, 2020 would be a year of major quality of life improvements throughout, and those started with the introduction of the personal inner thought wheel, which made the massive amount of interactions in Star Citizen instantly and more easily accessible to players new and old alike, as well as major stability improvements to long-term persistence that would form the backbone of an improved stability throughout the gameplay experience. Rounding out the highlights for Alpha 3.9 were the popular Overlord armors for subscribers, our first look at the vigilante gang of Pyro, the Asperia Prowler, Star Citizen's first offering from the avian-inspired alien Tavaran race and bringer with it of the coolest cockpit boot-up sequence yet. And one of the biggest new additions to Star Citizen, Invictus Launch Week, which saw the massive Idris and Javelin capital ships make their introductions to the persistent universe as they toured the Stanton system, flanked by equally initial appearances of the F-8 Lightning and F-7A Hornet. But not content to just watch, players would also declare open war against the UEE. Sure, it was fun, but you can bet the UEE will be better prepared when next they meet. Midway through 2020 saw the arrival of Alpha 3.10 with its focus on an improved vehicle experience for all players. Massive changes to aerodynamic flight and thruster efficiency curves led to atmospheric flight that truly took the unique characteristics of each ship into account. Changes to high-speed combat brought players in closer for a more visceral and engaging experience. And targeting and turret improvements gave new life to gunners blasting away from embedded stations on multi-crew vehicles like the Hammerhead. 3.10 also saw the first iteration of signed distance fields come online, leading to a new visual effect for atmospheric reentry that could be seen from miles away, while laying the essential groundwork for shield improvements that would begin to be realized later this year. Electron damage literally let players throw lightning from their hands, as it introduced a new damage type that will continue to be iterated on, with non-lethal variations as more bounty hunting mechanics continue to be developed. The long-fabled bartender, testbed for all social vendor interactions, arrived in 3.10, bringing life to social locations and building on the promise of a robust NPC dynamic going forward. 2020 also saw mining expand from just ships and handheld units to ground vehicles with the launch of the Grey Cat Rock, bringing with it a host of new minables and one more way for players to earn a living in the persistent universe. Alpha 3.11 brought with it the first part of a massive update to every planet and moon in the Stanton system, using new painting tools, high-resolution scan textures, updated geology assets, and more to make Star Citizen's already impressive planetoids better looking than ever before. There were also major updates to player inventory, completely revamping the way players carried items on their adventure and introducing external inventory for the very first time, the promising framework for those who want to loot their fallen enemies going forward. Force reactions continued to evolve to include a variety of knockdowns and a physicalized reaction when walking around inside a ship or vehicle, which not only affected the way that players fly with passengers on board, but it suddenly made all those seats and dropships seem like a really good idea. New defensive turrets were installed around rest stop space stations to accommodate the removal of green zones, which provided new opportunities and piracies for those who are willing to risk being, fired upon. Cargo decks became the future home for new missions and opportunities, while the Tobin Expo Center arrived on Microtech to play new host to the biggest event of the year, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, where players could explore and experience nearly every ship Star Citizen has to offer. And speaking of ships, IAE brought with it two brand new flyables. First, the Mercury Star Runner burst onto the scene as perhaps the most popular daily driver Star Citizen has seen in some time. With its stunning look and multi-purpose role, it instantly caught the imaginations of citizens everywhere, even if its gas mileage wasn't so hot. They're working on it. The other new addition was the pickup truck from outer space, the Consolidated Outland Nomad, which instantly added a new look unlike anything else in the game and a strong starter alternative to another series of starters that came online just a few weeks earlier, the 100 series from Origin. With the 100i, the 125A, and the 135C all coming online in Alpha 3.11, there were now more ways for new players to begin their Star Citizen adventure than ever before. Now, to list everything that was added to Star Citizen in 2020 would take far too long, but this robust list of smaller additions all add up to a year spent focused on improving on everything that had come before, refining the overall player experience, and building a strong foundation with which to continue expanding upon in the future. Which brings us up to the present. In the final patch of the year, Alpha 3.12 looks to continue this trend with exciting new additions like refining, which will not only add new depth to mining and resource gathering gameplay, but creates ties to cargo hauling and greater opportunity for piracy alike. A new tractor beam attachment that looks to fundamentally alter first-person traversal in the persistent universe with not only a new way to move resources around, but also to pull the player about in Zero-G. The first version of our reputation system, which will begin its impact by altering the way mission givers respond to players, but will be built upon in numerous ways in the coming year.
Well, look who it is.
The long-awaited gas cloud tech coming to the Grange points throughout Stanton aim to not only provide a beautiful visual flair to all that empty space in space, but provide new gameplay opportunities in stealth and discovery as players explore within. Where the year started with the Asperia Prowler, we end with another alien offering of Tavaran origin with the Talon and Talon Shrike, light fighters in the vein of popular ships like the Gladius and Arrow that also bring with it a unique visual style and some striking new liveries for those who want to stretch their feathers, as it were. Finally, Alpha 3.12 also brings with it a host of new capital ship AI behaviors designed to make life more challenging for players when the massive Idris, fabled stalwart of the UEE, makes its vaunted return before the year is over, with multiple scenarios that can see players on both sides of the law run afoul of its massive railgun and devastating turrets. Whether it's bringing the vile Arlington family to justice, or running a criminal posse so notorious you force the UEE to respond, there's an Idris encounter for everyone in Alpha 3.12. And maybe, just maybe, a brand new threat coming to Stanton from another system that will require everyone on all sides to push back.
So, what did we learn this year? Well, we already knew that the Star Citizen community continues to be one of the most supportive and dedicated in all of gaming. But we did learn that nothing's going to stop this train from delivering new content and features, not even during a global pandemic. And that if each year continues to be better than the last, well, we've got a lot to look forward to in 2021. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Happy holidays to all, and we'll see you all next year.
Okay, there was a lot in that for the year in review. Let me start off this time with Kimmy. Anything stand out to you? I know you mentioned about Lagrange points earlier in relation to 312, but if you look at the whole year, anything that sticks out for you in this as far as what wish you might have wished for that came true?
Wow. Woo.
I know a lot. There's a lot. I know.
That's a tough one. New ships. I would have to say new ships in general. When I grouped all of that, more variety as far as a starter ship for backers who just want to get their feet wet, not go all in like with not punish guys like a 890 jump or a Carrack or something right off the bat. It's just to say, okay, here's a small investment. This is something I can get into, and it's different. And it can almost do just about everything currently in game. So I would have to give it to ships in general. That was surprising and pleasant to see them bring these ships on board for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some of the ones, what did we see this year, Kimmy? We saw the 100 series, the Cutlass.
Yes, the Origin 100 series.
The Cutlass Blue came out this year. Was it blue this year too? Yeah, the blue and red, they said. The MSR and the Nomad, right? Those were all ready to fly.
Nomad,
and the Talons,
Talon,
right? The Talons.
yes,
I forgot about the
and
Talons.
And the Shrike.
Okay,
Shrike,
the Talons.
yep.
Okay, Talon
Prowler.
and Shrike. Was the
Yes,
Prowler this year?
Prowler.
Oh, Prowler was this year. That's right. Prowler this year. Yeah, okay. So we had a lot of ships that are in our hands, and then there were still a few concepts, but in general, like you said, we got a decent amount, and with different, like you said, different careers out of those different ships too, which is a good point. Okay. Kelosal, how about you? Anything on your Christmas wish list that out of the whole year you saw that stuck out for you?
I mean, refining.
Yeah.
I was really happy with that. I mean, that's gearing me. You know, I'm a miner, so I was like, you know, first of all, let me apologize to the salvage people because, you know I understand they've been waiting for a while, but I was really, really happy with the refinery because finally, you know, we can at least get to the next step, or, you know, every step done towards what some of us or any of us would like leads us a step closer to that ship that we're waiting for, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Orion, and things like
Good
that and
point.
so forth. So I'm glad to see that they're finally remember it was the pewers who pretty much had everything they wanted. They started shooting everything at the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know how long it took for the miners to get their stuff in.
Right.
So this is love for the miners.
Mhm.
Thank you. I mean, I mean, but there's a lot more to go with that. I'm just glad that they're putting that in. Also, I do have to put this, Griff, because you've heard me say this time in and time out, and I will always say it. It is lore that drives gameplay,
Mm.
and they're finally starting to do that even with 312. I think 312 brings a little bit of that with those Idrises that come in, and those groups of people who have a different agenda. So, it's always good whenever you start to sneak in lore, points of interests, things like that. We got to see more of those, but it's always good whenever you see those types of things come in. It makes the gameplay, or at least the experience of developing a gameplay, worthwhile.
Okay. Kimmy, you are traumatizing me with that buck. Oh my god, I hated that
Bitty,
robot.
bitty, bitty, bitty buck.
I couldn't stand that robot. Don't even go there. Oh, I couldn't stand that robot. Okay, you are traumatizing me. Okay. 10. Let me ask you this. Kelosal mentions a good point. He says in the beginning it was the pewers, it was the fighters, it was the guys who are in PvP that seemed to pretty much, have what was going on in the game. It started moving more toward mining. My next question would be, after you looked at everything that happened this year, where do you think the next direction is going? Because we started seeing cargo a little bit. We started seeing this whole process of bounty hunting with the Cutlass Blue. Where do you think the next direction is CIG might start moving in?
I think it's going to be a focus on maybe transport. I think one of the things on the list that we have, if you haven't taken the test chat, not the test, the survey, make sure you do that. But I think that one of the cool things that we could be looking forward to in the next year would be an expansion of the cargo gameplay, similar to how you saw mining work out, and more so. And I say transport not in the pure sense of get this from point A to point B, but if you're out exploring a derelict site in space, or you're down at an abandoned whatever on a moon or a planet, if you find something of use there, you want to be able to use your tractor beam, maybe haul it onto your ship or anything like that. And I think that when you start thinking about the transport in that kind of realm, whether it's mining or the cargo running or the stuff that you find and exploring, you want to facilitate. I think a good development path for CIG would be focusing on how do you facilitate all those kind of outside circumstances, not just a pure I'm hauling this, or I'm doing this for this person, or I'm mining, or I'm doing that. Like, how do you just facilitate more exploration of the verse? And I think that it will help people better engage with, or better understand even, all the work that the devs are putting into this project. I had taken a note. One of the things that they put at the top of the year in review was that New Babbage and those moons came about. Calliope, European, Clio, everything like that. And the scope of this, guys, when you talked about Planetary Tech V4 and all the stuff they're working on, I'd actually written down one of the cool things I was happy to see with the development team was that they created the set of tools that would help them do their job better, right? We don't get to see it, right? It's not like something that we get to play with or anything like that.
Progress.
But they need to really, like, that's a AAA, I would be, if I was a manager at CIG, director or whatever, I would be very happy with the work that's been done on that, because now you can get going very fast. And so imagine, guys, they have these tools in their hands, they have this design concept, they know how fast they can get through something. They're creating a massive world for you to explore. If they focus on how players use their ships to explore the verse and unlock its treasures and all whatever it has to offer, that's going to bring a whole new wave of people to the game and a whole new wave of careers. Griff, you're absolutely right. You know, it started off with the pew pews and the shooters and the combat guys, and I said a lot in the beginning, like I am definitively not that. You know, so when you start talking about mining and everything like that, making money, you know, that's where I'm gonna be. So I haven't played SC in a little bit, but when I think about some of the stuff I'm seeing here and what the new year has to bring, I'm pretty excited.
Okay.
Well said. And well said.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and Tess said if I could, you know, just piggyback off of that, and I wrote it down, and then he said it right at the end. Right at the end. Tess said that's exploration, because Griff's question was, what would you think would be happening in the near future? I mean, now that they got all these things in, I think Tess said it very well. Tools, I think that's what they call them. They're developing these tools to help them build the game. And as I think that's important. I think that hasn't been said enough about the development of the game, that they are creating tools to help make the game come alive. But the exploration part, definitely, because now that you have all these things in, and they've gotten mining in, and they've gotten all this other stuff in, now the question is, are we going to see another system?
And those dev tools,
right? You know, are we going to see another system coming in, that jump gate and things like that and so forth, which will lead to the exploration that Tent talked about, and which will also definitely enhance the trading part now. Are we going to see Pyro? Are we going to see other systems in the year 2021? I mean, wait and see. It's kind of encouraging. Can't wait.
And those, and Kay, to your point, those dev tools will lend to higher productivity as well as stability in the production of these assets and features.
Oh yeah.
I will say this, Kimmy had said this earlier, and he was right. He said that it's getting to a point now where there's so many things that have been added in the game, you almost forget some of them. Or, you know, even right now, there's certain, even though the game's been out for a few days, there's a lot of features that a lot of us who've been there haven't even had a chance to try. 10th, I'm slightly disappointed in you. Just slightly disappointed. I mean, and I'm going to give you a waiver because of what Kimmy said, that there's so much stuff, it's so easy to forget.
Cool.
But your Venmo Cash App came out this year. Oh, dude, how did you let that slide? How did you let that slide? The accountant among us. Let that money trading slide. I don't know how you let that get past you, boy. That's tough.
Yeah, it's the end of the year. I mean, look. Hey, listen. The accounting app. It's just an assumption. I mean, it's just an assumption. It was the best of the list. Right? But no, that and here's the thing though, too, with that is.
It's a shame.
How did I forget? But the cool thing about that is and I said it when we were talking about it when it was going to come online. You talk about the interactivity between players and the idea for CIG to drive more multi-crew play. That app is going to facilitate that, and has facilitated that for the most part. Think about the mining apps you've gone on, or maybe you pull together somebody to help you do a bunker clear or something like that. And then being able to pay them, I think that is really cool. One other thing though, if I could just piggyback off of something that Kay said, lore driving the game. We had an election this year, right? And I'm not talking about in the U.S., but I'm talking about it in the UAE. And like what's cool, UAE. What's cool about that is I hadn't been following the lore very closely, but that particular piece from the election and reading all the candidates' stances and all the comm links, I went through all that stuff, and it was making an informed decision. And a lot of people did, and like there was threads everywhere about Addison or Costigan and all this kind of stuff, and posters, all this kind of stuff. Like that was pretty cool. Like if we get more stuff like that, exactly, you're totally right, Kimmy. Like if we get more stuff like that, and so we talked about the end of the video. They talked about a new threat that could be coming from another system, to threaten Stanton. Having seen what they've done with lore and what they did with the election, I could totally see things like this happening. And so when you get more of that coming online, you got the tools, the chief of which is the accounting app. Let me save myself there. But you got all these other tools that are coming online. Like people are going to be, being able to come through and really make a statement in the verse. That's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I got to say this. The reason why the accounting tool is important to people like me and 10th is that we have multiple characters. I have a main character that I play in the game, and that character is pretty much my workhorse character. The bulk of my ships are with that character. All my career-related stuff in relation to mining, trade, cargo is all tied to that character. But my secondary character is my luxury character who handles all of my origin ships. And so in order to fund that account, I needed that Cash App. I needed that app that allows me to send money over to that person, because they never work. All they do is just go get on their yacht and ride around. So that's why that app is very important to people like me in the game. Kelosal, don't even start. Rygor, thank you for the follow. Dope Style, thank you for the follow.
And Rygor79,
both of you being here. Thank you so much. But no, seriously, on the screen, guys, I froze the list real quick. There's a lot of good stuff up there. Pick one that you see on the screen right now. That looks really... Mad Style, thank you. Oh my God,
Style.
5 sub gifts. Thank you. We got 5 people about to get some gift subs.
1911.
Thanks,
Thank you for that, Mad Style. You all make sure to tell Mad Style thank you for those gifts. That's so gracious of you.
That's awesome.
We got a couple more James Brown screens coming. But let's see, Kelosal, pick one. Is there anything on that list right there that stands out to
Blind
you?
Dreamer, thanks for the sub.
Yes. There is.
Which one?
Shady Face.
And I'm looking at CIG. The prison repair mission for Kelosal. At least give me 10 minutes. If I ever get back in there, get rehabilitated. 10 minutes.
Is the time frame too short or something? It's super short.
I mean, that's one good thing that they put in. I haven't experienced the prison repair part yet. I guess I have recently.
Okay.
But I mean, body dragging, I think that's amazing, and that's great to see to do with that. But I'm also happy with the new Babbage hangars. They needed it.
Okay.
They needed that because you had certain ships that was a little bit too big that had problems getting in when they first put them in. That's been a problem throughout, the gaming, but they've made a major emphasis about changing those. So it's happy to see that.
Okay. Kimmy, what about you? Anything off that list? One particular thing on there that sticks out for you?
The climate changes, definitely. That was just one of those eye openers. Just to see the weather actually have a huge impact on your literally on your well-being, whether you survive or not. If you lose a ship and you're stuck in that climate, that happened to me, where I had to call for help because I knew I had to get off that moon because I was going to die. So yeah, that was a huge change for me.
Wow. Okay. Good. 10th, how about you?
Yeah, I was going to mention what's really cool, or what was striking to me when you head over to New Babbage, down to I think it's Wally's there, the bar, in the day-night cycle, even as it's reflected at the bar, like very impressive,
Never get old.
It gives you that full. And the thing is, like, you get that feeling, like, yeah, okay, during the day it's just a place, but at night this thing just lights up, So
yeah.
Very cool, and to think about that level of detail and figure out how to implement it into the game was pretty impressive. So yeah, I'd have to say that's where I tip of the hat to the team on that cycle.
For me, I'm going to go with the unified contact and friends list, that they finally got that together where we could connect with each other, play together, use the Moby glass to look at each other or go, whatever it is, just the way that we can communicate. They're still trying to work on the FOIP and all that stuff with it, but at least we can now group up, see each other when it's working. We can at least do that now. And at least the party aspect does work. Even if you can't see someone's marker, you do have everybody. And the permissions that are granted. So if I'm flying with Kimmy and Kimmy's leader, I can get on his ship. The fact that they've put that part into it as well. Where before you used to have to wait around for the person to show up to open up the ship for you. So it's nice that those aspects of the game are working
unified.
good. Yeah. Let me scroll this a little bit. Let's look at the next set of things.
There's
I want
more?
you guys to.
There's
there's more.
You gotta be freaking kidding me, man.
Second line,
Yeah.
uniforms.
Go ahead, let's start with you, Colossal. Which one you like?
Those Tavaran war uniforms.
Yeah.
Those are the ones. Those were the suits, right? Those are
Yes.
the
Oh yeah,
Oh, the big
yeah.
I bought all
That was
three.
sweet.
I already had
the
one.
capital ship.
And I mean, it was quite. If that's what I'm talking about, the white, blue, and red ones, right? Is that it?
No,
Is that
those
it?
aren't Tavaran. No.
Okay, I'm
Those are the UEE war uniforms. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
They should have that on the thing because I did buy them, the UE ones.
yeah.
And I did get Tavaran war uniforms. I'm thinking about it right now, but those UE outfits, quite nice. I mean, if you're trying to do ceremonial stuff, or even if you're trying to do bridge work or things like that, if you're a captain or things like that, might want to go ahead and get those. I'm quite sure, a lot of ships, including Buccaneer improvements, a lot of those Buccaneer fans, but. You got to get those outfits, those little ceremonial outfits, the white, the blue, the red ones. I forgot the name. Anybody know the name in chat? It'd be great. It'd be appreciative of that. But I thought they were just amazing. And I started looking at the lore. I believe one of them was for ceremonial. That's why I got confused.
Yep, you're right.
But quite
Very
nice.
nice.
I think one was white and black. White, of course, white, black, and gold. Love that. And the other one was red and blue. And the thing is, guess what? I mean, since I had all three of them, I mixed and matched.
Yeah,
I put on the white
Oh,
top,
wow.
Get your own custom look.
cut with a red button. I just switched it up, so you can take that and make different varieties of it. I thought it was just amazing. Good job.
Okay, Kimmy, what about you? What off that list do you like right there?
I'm not picking on them. I'm gonna channel my inner 10th Sigma here, and I'm gonna say in-game ship rentals. And here's why. When you're talking about the aspect of from a business sense with SIG allowing this to happen, this will allow players, backers, new players to come in and try new ships out. And then they may say, well, wait a minute, I really like this ship. Even though I have that starter ship, I had questions about this particular ship, and I'm impressed with it. So it creates sales. That will create sales. So that's good on their side as a business.
Good. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Kimmy. That is often overlooked. The more access that people have to the game, the more they'll, when you have those tripwires that says, hey, here's a ship, or here's a free fly, or here's a code for 5,000 UEC. That the more you get stuff online into the game, the more people want to play it, and they'll spend some money on it. And so it's weird because Star Citizen is this $300 million plus behemoth that's in revenue, that's just kind of whenever they put out something, they've sold it. So it's there's a little bit of there's an outlier to their process compared to many other businesses, but I dig that. And the other thing that I also in terms of being in game was right here under the M50 improvements were the Caterpillar improvements. And I don't actually own a Caterpillar, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. I think I heard some stuff with some of the missions had the missions this past year had the ability to have the holding cells inside the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. Things that are going to be, to help the team understand how to mod the Caterpillar and how the players eventually could interact with their ships. I know the Caterpillar is a darling, right? It doesn't get talked about a lot, because we had the Carrot come out this year, and we had the MSR hit the streets this year as well. But the Caterpillar is one of those ships that many people were using before to do a lot of different things: transport, cargo, mining, or I should say it's transporting cargo, and it had a really fast jump drive, quantum drive. So it was getting around the verse pretty.
We got a raid. Who's raiding us?
Whoa!
Hey.
Sean
that's awesome. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for the raid. 07.
Raid with 87 people. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
10th said two things. One was polarizing, and one was really huge. What he said. He said, real story here, real quick. The thing you talked about with the Caterpillar 10th, to that, what you spoke on, John Crew, I mean, I'm not quoting it, but trust me, he said for the owners of the Caterpillar, hold on to that ship because they're going to do some really cool things as far as the modifications of the compartments in that ship. It came directly from John Cruz. So thanks for bringing that up, 10th. You made me remember that. The other statement he said was very polarizing. Bumble Brianna, thank you for the follow. The other polarizing thing he said was the $300 million behemoth. Let me put it to you like this, chat, and everyone here. That $300 million is to cut those checks and keep the lights on, man. Bottom line, when you talk about 500 to 600 employees, everyone's thinking Chris is sitting on a gold mine. Man, he's cutting those checks, paying people for their hard work, and keeping those freaking lights on.
Well, here's the thing, Kimmy, right? Like whenever, I don't want to derail us too much, Griff, but whenever we talk about, I'm in finance, right? So whenever we're like, CIG's 300 million plus, they 300, what are they doing to 300 million plus? I'm like, the 300 million plus is the top line, right? It's the revenue. Like what I'm always interested in is what's the bottom line, right? Because once you get past all those operating costs, taxes, right? And you're dealing, it's a multinational group, right? So you're dealing with tax status in the US, you're dealing with Europe, and all this kind of stuff. You got to figure that out. So I'm always interested. And here's my one gripe, guys. When they released their end of the year, like quarter four statements, it kind of gets breezed through, right? Like, what did they do this year? The year in review, this is what we're looking at. But you really want to take a peek at the marketing, the financial statements from the last year. If you guys remember, right? I don't know if it was on this show or another show I was on. But when you take a look at the 2018 final quarter P&L, like profit and loss, what you find is that SIG had an increase in their marketing budget, right? And in their ability to create space for extra developers, right? At the time, or extra headcount. And when you read the report, what you begin to see is that extra income from marketing came from an outside investor so that they can begin doing their getting the game in front of more people. How has that translated into growth of the game is a great question. Something I'd be looking forward to in this particular year's report. And also the studio earlier this year stated that they went from 500 some odd employees, and then I heard 600 some odd thrown around the Q3, Q4,
600 now.
right? So follow the money because it'll tell you where things are going. The 300 million is what the media likes to talk about a lot, right? And they say, Chris Roberts doing this and he's doing that. That's fine. Look, small businesses in the U.S. can hit 25 million and still be considered small, right? So when you start getting in 300 million category, like you got a big thing on your hands and you're generating a lot of cash. But you want to see how you're utilizing that cash. I don't want to get into all of it, but you're right, Kimmy. It only tells half the story.
Yep.
Excellent, Tim. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
excellent.
Good point. Let me say hello to some folks. DJ Apollo, thank you for the follow. Satura, thank you for the follow. We said Bumble Brianna, thank you for the follow. And Steindeath, if I didn't mention it, thank you for the follow. Steindeath, also again, thank you for that raid. Stragic, thank you. Thank you for that follow as well. Let me throw out to you guys the one thing on that list for me that stuck out, and thank you guys for talking about the finance piece. The updated space station layouts. We've actually forgotten how we used to have to run all around that joint before, but now, especially since the refinery decks came out, they've broken it into those 3 levels: the Galleria, the hab level in hangar area, and the refineries. And it has much more of a logical feel. You don't feel like each one of the stations, you got to try to memorize the layouts as much. So I do appreciate the fact that they have enhanced that a little bit. Let me spin this a little bit more. I think there are a few more things on the list that we can talk about here. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, there was just a couple more. There weren't many.
And while you're spinning that there was verification on Ops Chiefs and Eldrick that was a Tavarian outfits that I was talking about, Griff. So that was... Thanks a lot, guys.
They're from the Tavarian War. Yeah, from the Tavarian.
That was during the war, right?
Yep, my mistake. I thought you called them Tavarian uniforms. They were from the Tavarian War. That was my apology.
Right.
My apologies on that.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure because I want to tell everybody to go get those uniforms.
It'd be great for orgs, though. It'd be awesome for orgs or people want to catch.
Oh, it totally is. It totally is.
Oh my goodness, get those uniforms.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's some other things at the very tail end there they talked about, other than the updated station layouts. The Archimedes Emerald, which we completely forgot about, even though it's just a skin more than anything. But the
I have
improved
one.
throw for grenades and
Yeah.
stuff. Remember before we couldn't even
Yes.
monkey with grenades? That's back into the game now. The canopy rain effects, so we start getting into that weather. Hostility updates. And I think that's it. Let's see if there's one more. Oh, there is. The Bay Ring grenade launcher.
Your mic, Griff.
Sorry.
Can't hear you, Griff.
Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once here. The
Okay.
grenade launcher came out. They got the new countermeasures with the what do they call it? The chaff and flare. They started working on that.
Yeah.
How about
And
let's
there
go
was
back
something
to the kid end.
McCoy now.
Yeah.
How about the Nerf guns?
Oh, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do they
Said
call
they
it?
want to
Wild
shoot the bartender.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I was like, here comes the adults. When you think that they are adults, and they go from here to
I can't tell you how many metro train rides I've had where somebody walks up to me and just starts popping me in the head until I get to the
Yeah.
next station. It's a bit much here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I want to side rail a little bit when it talks about things that have been added into the game, and this is kind of a throwback to a conversation that all three of us had. If you guys remember when they talked about introducing food into the game, and some of the people in the
Oh, my
community went
God.
crazy about
Oh
food.
my God,
I
you're
don't want
killing
this
the
to be
game.
another Rust or a survival game, blah 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 blah, right? Well,
getting
about
trolled.
several weeks ago, I happened to be talking about food with Kelosal, and Kelosal's always one of those guys that looks at the details. And he said, "Hey, Griff, come on, meet me over here at the food bar." So I'm like, "Okay." So I meet him over at the food bar in New Babbage, and we go over there. He says, "Come on." So we walk over, and we start going through the different items. What I didn't know was that they had started incorporating the impact or the effects of food into the game. I knew that there was some aspects of it, but I didn't realize that they had started putting in whether things were hyperbolic or things that would dry you out, things that would sustain you, things that would have a negative impact on your health. I didn't even realize that was one of those things that they had slipped into the game now that was
Water.
actually functioning in the game. So I didn't know that the difference between grabbing a fizz is a difference between drinking water, which is a difference between drinking a smoothie, which is a difference between drinking an energy drink in the game.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are playing the game, find time to go over and read it. Right, Colossal, there's a detailed explanation, right, of each item. And Colossal was like, dude, look at this. This has got this, and this. And we did the breakdowns for it. And then we took some stuff and we went and ran out. And we're in the elevator. And while I'm standing in the elevator, I'm getting dehydrated while I'm standing there and don't even realize it. And some of us are grabbing things and playing them in the game and don't even realize that they actually do have impact on us. So when you want to go out to that certain moon where you're going to be out there a long time or in a cave, you want to really think about whether you should take that energy bar or whether you're going to take that beef jerky or whether you're going to eat that, what's that burger called?
Burrito.
A whammer. Whether you want to take a whammer with you, right? I mean,
that whammer.
I mean, look, and Griff. I mean, thank you, Griff, for bringing that up because
Burgers.
Griff, we went around and we started looking at it. Guys, open up your journals. Open up your journals in the game, and there's a little thing we call the NDR, the nutritional dietary rate,
Right.
like that. Read that whole thing, please, because if you wonder why you have, and I saw this several times, those you got those little coffee makers in your ships in your 300 series,
that's right.
or you a coffee walked out of the hat with, and I'm seeing you with a coffee cup. It clearly says hydrator. So when you're drinking that coffee and you see a minus sign come across your drink menu, you wondering why you're going out in space and your drink is just dropping.
Get on the character, pass out.
Okay, so and the hot dogs is the same thing. So
Hot dogs,
it is folks. I find it amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's there, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinku Scarata. Hey, Vinku, good to see you. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, I mean, but this is an example of those things that we were talking about earlier that get put into the game that people don't.
Nowhere.
Yeah, these are the things that we talked about to get put into the game, though, that people don't think about or notice that CIG may not put on the big board, saying that this has been incorporated into the game. And they are not just quality of life, but they are things that will impact us. One of the things that, Kimmy, you talked about this, one of the things that was on the board was about the temperature issue. Colossal, remember one night we went on one of the moons and we went at nighttime, and remember it dropped down to like 230, 240 below Celsius, and we had on the right suits and we were still getting jacked up. So, I mean, there's all types of things that they've incorporated into the game that you guys, when people say, oh, there's nothing new in the game, there's no mechanic, trust me, we just saw the long list of things that were in the game. So,
Or
Play to survive, not to win.
right,
yeah,
or
yeah,
didn't pay attention that they were in the rock
yeah,
and didn't pay
Oh my
attention.
gosh,
It
yes.
had windows and it didn't.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Elements.
yeah.
They were out there in their
Yeah.
regular little outfits and not in their Pembrokes or what have you. They were wondering why the temperature was changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To what you guys said, it's a knock to say get ready for pyro.
Yeah.
Because you haven't seen nothing yet.
Yep. Dirk, we haven't forgotten. They did talk about it when we watched the video. They talked about the weapon zeroing being one of those things. None of us mentioned it. And I hate to say this, Dirk, because we're all lovers and not fighters. I think everybody here who's here. But I'm sure for those people who are into PvP, that is a factor. In fact, that new rifle, the A09 sniper rifle that they came out with, I heard some people talking about that weapon saying, oh, it's not powerful, blah, 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 blah.
1,500 feet.
What I found out what I found out about that is that evidently the lighter the load on the weapon, the faster it fires, and the weapon zeroing on it is supposed to be really good. So I would say don't underestimate that weapon. And one of the things I found out about weapons in Star Citizen is that, sure, people may like them based upon manufacture, but the weapons all have their own unique style and design to them. And maybe what doesn't work for you will definitely work for somebody else. So find time to go in and try all the different weapons and find out. Don't think just because it says it's a 50 caliber that means it's the best gun in the game. There may be something else that's better. I tried it last night. Which one? The sniper? You did?
I had the Kaskov, the electric sniper rifle.
The electron.
And I could immediately see the resolution was really dialed in. It was much sharper when I was in the using the sniper mode. And it's a 1-to-1 situation where you have to move the scope, and then you have to factor in recoil.
Right.
So basically I was just under the jaw of the person I was going to snipe, and when I released it, the recoil moved up and I hit him right in the temple.
Okay.
And I laid him out flat.
Nice. Okay.
Holding him, huh?
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Him.
All right, let's talk about one other subject. We're not going to show the video for it because we've got to still do our survey, but I want to toss this. Most of you all have seen the Star Citizen anime, machinima video, whatever you want to call it, that was called The Reunion. And Dirk mentioned something in here when Dirk said one of the things that he liked seeing that came out was the end scene where they showed us our very first, our first alien. We saw a Banu that was in a stasis chamber. So here's my question to you guys. Great animation. I know we all liked it and enjoyed it, but my question to you is, do you think CIG should continue doing this as a means of working people into the lore and background of Star Citizen? And two, do you think that this whole Banu thing is tied into something that's going to become unveiled in the game? Because the mechanics we know about, right? We saw the different ships and all that. We know that stuff's in the game. But do you think that they're actually doing this to kind of lead us somewhere in light of 4.0 next year? Do you think that there's some tie-in? Anybody that wants to jump in can jump in on that.
Yes and yes.
Okay, elaborate, please.
I mean, look at what's going on right now. You got forgive me. Is it the Luminalia?
Oh, the Luminalia. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. Yeah, Luminalia.
Going on, and then he happened to put out part 2 in December 17th with the Banu in the casket, and we're still waiting on the Banu merchant.
We're solely
with the group of Soli, or Suli, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so, I mean, CIG is not stupid. Chris Roberts is not stupid. He's a good writer. So, I mean, I was talking to Griff about this earlier. There's a lot of connections here, a lot of connections. If you look at that Star Wars film that just happened over the weekend and things like that and so forth, and I look at the writing because to me, there's something going on that they want us to pay attention to down the line. Okay. Yeah. So yes, there is a strong connection with what's going on. Banu, folks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Kimmy, what was your reaction when you saw the whole thing, this whole reveal? She gets the code, she trades her friend in, and then she quietly goes down to the smuggling area of her Mercury with these codes and approaches this stasis chamber, and there's a Banu in there. What was your reaction to that?
It's just to what you said, Griff. There's more to this than this is not the end of this, because these codes, what were these codes about? Obviously, it had everything to do with that Banu who was in stasis. So they had to wait. She said, towards the end, it has to wait. That particular thing she had to do had to wait. So, like you all said, man, you guys make great points. It's just how Sega's doing things. Each step is purposed. There's no coincidence or arbitrarily doing something and it just happens to be that. Chris is he's the sultan of details, man. He's the ringmaster for details. He does not do anything just for the heck of it. And trust me, it's going to be a big reveal. The fact that it falls in line with the Luminalia, the holiday, the Banu themselves saying, this is the holiday that we celebrate because we're a part of each other. We're the Suli. And so, and then all of a sudden you have in reunion to the Banu as well. So all these things correlate to something big.
Right. Okay. And Kimmy, just on top of that, I'm really quickly, the stasis chamber. I mean, isn't there a ship
Medic.
that's one of those? And that be a Cutlass Blue?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a medic.
So
yes.
I mean, it could be medic or the Cutlass Blue has a couple of. I mean, we saw iterations of what the stasis chambers could be like.
Right.
So it just reminded me of gameplay that was coming in the future.
Yeah, it looked like the chambers that are on the blue. It was definitely that identical chamber to the one that's on the blue. 10th, when this first came out, part 1 that we saw a month ago, I think a lot of us not me, but a lot of people I heard thought it was more of a pitch sale for the MSR, right? For the Mercury Star Runner, because the IAE was coming up and they kind of felt it was really kind of focused around that. But once we saw the whole thing, we saw it was much bigger than just focusing in on the MSR, right? We see the introduction of these 2 characters. We see this huge facility. We don't know what that big place was that they went to where she tried to take her in. We saw the use of ships like the Ballista. We saw the Dragonflies. And then we get some character stuff being built up, right? Somebody that this young lady calls who comes to rescue her because she doesn't know her friend is going to actually save her. But then there's the reveal of the Banu. Now, and I want to cop off of what both Kelosal and Kimmy said. So we get into this whole thing with the Luminalia this week, right? Starting December 22nd, 2-day festival of the Banu, the Festival of Lights, between humans and Banu. We get this animation that comes up at the same time introducing some relationship between humans and Banu. Do you think, and Kelosal just mentioned about this thing with the Banu and the Banu merchantmen trade, do you think that this is something that CIG, and I'll go back to my original question, should CIG continue animated series like this? Does it motivate the community to get deeper into stuff? Or do you think this is kind of a one-off thing just to maybe introduce, going into something that they want to do?
Oh, wait, no, I think it's a dual purpose for sure. I think that when you look at a video that's produced like this, I mean, it was interesting to watch. We got part 1, and then, a lot of us in the community are like, when's part 2 dropping? What happens? And not only for that kind of entertainment factor, just to kind of see the world put together, but now when you're able to, and this is, again, brilliant marketing, right? Like when you're able to put a video together that shows you a ship that's out, right? Some of the lore that they've been putting together, some of the in-game footage, right? At least in some respects, I guess. Ships and all kinds of stuff. We're able to pull the world to life. Players can see themselves doing something like this for a friend or this kind of thing. They're going to want to go try it. And when they get into the verse and they see that, wow, what I saw in this video is actually way bigger inside of the verse, it's going to draw them in. And if the key has always been, I think one of my colleagues said today, this is the best space sim ever as far as like immersion. You're going to have to build, and what do we mean by immersion? We're meaning that the world around you and what you experience is everywhere you turn, 360, all over the place. And when you're able to watch something, go do something, and it ties together, I mean, you got a potent combination of marketing genius and I mean, it's great, So I would love to see them do something like this. I would love to see, if I could just kind of veer off just a little bit, I would love to see the election, the inauguration of the new emperor. You know, I would love to see how they put that together. You know, and let me tell you, boys, wait for this, right? I think one of the things inside of the survey was people wanted to see more broadcasting using the Mako. What if you saw some of these Makos cover the event? What if some of these news outlets kind of did something like that? I think that would be a really cool way to kind of get people thinking about how they can be inside of the verse. You know, you got the homesteads in the back, Kimmy, and things that are just like all over the place. Like how can you continue to draw the community in while you're working on it? And if you notice, guys, the more that CIG got closer to some of the things they're developing, the more we were excited to see it. And they recognized that, hey, it's going to take a little bit of time. What can I do right now to help, you know, bridge the gap a little more, so that people don't turn around and just get completely fed up? Because we're getting more people into the game, right? Remember, back to the finances, right? We're getting more people into the game. Like, we can't just sit here and pretend like we're CIG from 2 or 3 years ago. You know, like we're CIG of right now. So how do we continue to do that? Anyway, I kind of tangent off, but yes, I think that awesome. Doing more stuff like this will completely engage the community.
Okay. Listen, folks, for those of you who came in a little bit later from the other chat, we are doing a survey. I just put it in chat, and I'm going to ask if you would like to. We want to know what your Christmas wish is for CIG. Tenth just referenced it. There are 12 categories of things that we're saying. What does the community want to see Star Citizen work on? What are the things that are most popular? And we're getting ready to show that right now. So if you want to chime in, this will be in real time, so you can still put in for it. And you may see the graph change while you guys are looking at it. So just bear with me, because I'm doing it in real time. I'm going to have to pull the graph and put it on screen. So just give me 1 second.
Oh, speaking of immersion, 10th, to what you said, chat, I just received, in 3 days time, I just received the eye tracker, the Tobii eye tracker 5. And let me tell you, I call it VR Lite. And basically I'm looking around in first person, and you see so much more around you than just going through the game as with the keyboard and mouse or control pad. You're able to look at things on the fly, up, down, all around, as well as in your ship, and also in first person. I tested it in the first person scenario where I took out the drug dealers in the underground facility. It feels really good. It feels really, really good.
That's awesome, man.
Nice. Now, is that readable for you guys? If it's not readable, I'm going to make it full screen. Can you guys read it, or is it too small?
I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Chat, can you guys see it? Well, okay, you can. All right. Cool. All right. So, believe it or not, out of the categories that were here, farming, salvage, repair, bounty hunting, medical, smuggling, entertainment, refueling, trade, broadcasting, data running, and VIP. The number one that was picked out of 63 people who did this survey, believe it or not, go ahead and play it. All right. If you can believe it, if you can believe it, salvage. Let's hear it for you salvage people, you reclaimers, you vultures out there. If you're into it, you guys are winning the survey right now, okay?
That's excellent.
Opsheep says Red is turning in his grave right now. Okay. So, if you're into salvage, it seems like there are a lot of people who really want to see salvage kick in. Now, let me ask you this, panel. Do you think that's because ships like the Reclaimer have been in the game and people have been waiting? Or do you think in general, people see salvage as a way of making money, or they want to just do that career?
I think it's the doing the career. And I think what enhances their wanting to do it is the Reclaimer being present, right? Again, you have a big ship like that sitting on the sidelines. You want to get this thing out and about. You want to have it. You want to use it for what it's designed for. And I think my salvage friends, right, are thinking, hey, we have waited long enough, right? We've been patient. Like we've seen things go out. Like we've seen mining come on. We've seen a full cycle of mining. We see refineries coming on. I think it's about time that you brought on the little sister and gave her the glow up, right? So that we can sit alongside my mining friends, and we could create some orgs are completely designed around mining and salvage, right? So it's a lot of orgs and a lot of interactivity between players is going to come online when you're able to put the salvaging piece in. So not to exclude the rest of them, but the more we learn about salvage and what it's capable of doing, especially after all my combat friends get through doing their fun stuff in space. Like, just have the crew roll on in, pick up the scraps. I think it'd be cool. So, I think there's some foundational work. Absolutely, I'm not a developer,
Right.
but there's stuff they have to do to get there. But I think that seeing that there is not surprising to me, and I would hope that would be on the agenda for next year.
Well, Stragic said earlier, Stragic, we saw you when you said this. He said in particular, we'd love to see them get all hands on deck and get iCache, server meshing, and network refractor. And we realize that those have to be in place for us to see salvage come into its fullness in the game, just because of the tracking of items and all that good stuff that goes along with it. But it is interesting to see that out of all the careers, to be honest with you, that is not the career I thought people would have picked, for saying that that's what they want to see next. Let me ask you, Kimmy, is that the one you think people have picked, or is there something on this list you think people would have picked that one first?
It's definitely salvage, man. I mean, that's the one thing that's going to really change the dynamic, because you have to have the environment for it as well, like the space graveyards, and you can layer that in with so many other dynamics, like space creatures that apex predator types. Creatures that live in those areas, but then you can throw in the actual components, and server blades can go in that aspect of salvage as well. So it's a lot of layers to salvage, and then with the fact that we have the tractor beam tool now, so now you can actually pull these items from the wreckage and such, even whether it's in the ground or in space. It's just, again, like Dirk said, and other people in the chat said, you have to have iCache, which is slated for June of next year, which is basically 6 months away. That we'll get that. But yeah, it's so many layers that you can add to that. The fact that we will have PvP and ships blowing up, and then you can actually go and snatch those ships. Right. Someone has to scramble and get those ships. But yeah, it opens it up for so many emerging gameplay features in Star Citizen.
Okay. Kelosal, number 2, next to salvage, is trade. There are forms of trade in the game right now, but I think this might be leaning more toward the aspect of an economy. Is that probably one of the next big steps of moving? Or I know that Tony Zervik is supposed to be putting something out toward the latter part of next year. Is economy something that really needs to start coming? I mean, can we keep playing what we're doing right now without having Tony's economy in, or do you think that needs to kind of come in to stimulate all this stuff?
Well, we can, but you still need some type of stimulation. So we're still waiting on Quanta that he's trying to put in.
Right.
I mean, that would be a nice addition to the economy and trade. I mean, you talking about whole seas. You talking about having the whole sea. Some people saying the whole sea is ready to go. I understand we're working on iCache and things like that, but boy, if we can get iCache in there, that we can go ahead and enable Quanta and the whole season trade. Yeah, I mean, it's at 12%. So yeah, let's help Tony Z out, folks, and get that in there for 2021.
All right,
absolutely.
Listen, we got to give a shout out to Mad Style again. Mad Style, that's another 5 subscriptions. He's taking care of our folks tonight and all of our guests tonight. Mad Style, thanks you again and again and again. We really, really appreciate that. Okay, what comes up? What's next? We got after trade. Well, the next one would be a tie between repair and data running. Data running, we've got a ship for. We've got 2 ships for, the Herald and the MSR. Repair, we don't have anything yet. The Vulcan isn't in, and neither is the Crucible. I can definitely see how these are both tied into economy. Data running. The Herald's been sitting quietly for a long time. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. It's a great runner, but it's doesn't have a lot of cargo, and you could drop a couple boxes in there if you want to, but the functionality is not there. The MSR, if you've been inside of it, you know that it's definitely laid out for data running, but people are kind of using it more as the smaller version of what they've been doing with the Carrack. Kelosal, do you think? Or let me go to, who did I go to last? No, I went to Kelosal last. 10th, I'll go to you. Are we going to see anything come in place with this data running anytime soon? Do you think that's somewhere down the road still?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people want it to be online. I can only I see it being online once you have gotten a good grasp of the reputation system, right? How they want that piece to work, mission giving. We have the player trading app, and in its first form, right? There's going to be more iterations of that, of course. But to me, the data running piece is I'm hiring you to take this from here to there. So I feel it ties into kind of that intangible transport. And once we get a better understanding of how transport will happen, I think that's why you see a lot of correlation between the wants of the data running and the VIP transport, because those two kind of go hand in hand. But that's not going to happen until I feel trade is very much established, right? Where can I pick up a mission from an NPC, or who has the HVTs, or high value information even that needs to be put somewhere. I would much rather see repair come along fast. Seeing as how salvage is one of the higher ones, kind of after the economy. Seeing that Vulcan come online would be tremendous. I'm very much looking forward to that, because I know a lot of people would use it, and even the Crucible at a greater extent. So it's a toss up here. In the low teens. I think that each of them are viable in the next year. But it'll just be what CIG chooses to put forward. But if we could get data running and some usefulness out of the MSR that way, I think that'd make a lot of people very happy. Happy. Because now you got the full utility of the ship on display.
Cool. Easy C, thank you for the follow, and Eldrick, thank you for the follow as well. Kimmy, Ops Chief says something here in relation to the data running. He says, not until multi-star systems come in, and I definitely get it. We understand that whole thing of surveillance and, orgs being all over the place. But do you think that they could create some type of initial data running, whereas maybe it's nothing more than an NPC mission? You get it from a terminal that says, go here, there's a certain marker, you turn on your scanner for a few minutes, get something, and then deliver it. Is that something that maybe they could do even with just Stanton? Could they start maybe doing something like that for data running?
Yeah, you guys both hit on good points. The fact that we need location, but right now we need the first iteration, as you keyed on, Griff, is the fact of NPCs. So you can actually do a test bed or first iteration of data running by bringing certain NPCs online to do certain things, whether they're making runs or cargo runs to a certain area, and then that data can be transferred over to a ComSat or such that will tell of a very valuable, like, let's just say they can use Quantanium as the dangling carrot, and use the data mining and say there is Quantanium that's being transferred from Microtech to what's the area in Lorville. They're transporting from Microtech to Lorville Quantanium. That's a big carrot for someone to say, I gotta have that. So there's a courier to say, we're gonna have an escort of X amount with the Quantanium, huge amounts of Quantanium, and then you have those NPCs to travel there. That's a great test bed to do it. And then you get that, you can hijack or hack into the ComSat after the runner transfer that information to the ComSat to say, well, we need to give mission givers to say, we need a security detail to escort these Quantanium cargo ships to X, Y, and Z. And so then all of a sudden you go and hack the ComSat, get that information, or you can stop or disable the data runner itself and hack that information. And then you have the information, and that's where you have data running become an actual gameplay feature in game. First iteration, of course. But yeah, I do agree with Ops. When you really have multiple systems, you really can expand on that.
Kelosal, they introduced something into 3.12 that they didn't talk about, which was the INS Jericho, right? That didn't come out on anybody's roadmap. And a lot of us, I went out with Nihilus one day,
Jericho,
and he and I took about maybe 30, 45 minutes, and we stumbled across it. I was out with Ops Chief the other day for 2.5 hours, and I never ran across that sucker. is this something that maybe if somebody had a data runner like a Herald, they could go out there and scan it and then maybe come back and sell it? Is that something, I mean, would it take a lot of work to make something just as simple as that? Because trying to find, and those of you who've been into those clouds, you know that those clouds are huge. They are not small. They look small until you try to drive across one of them, fly across one of them, and you realize how big they are. You can't find squat. If something's 2,000 kilometers away from you, you can't even see it. So is that something, Kelosal, that they could start using those clouds for? Maybe you can detect things in there and then data running could come in? And I'm going to move past data running after this.
I mean, well, if you think about the clouds, I mean, it's going to be, if they're talking about doing what they're talking about doing, it's going to be difficult for me to see that a data runner be able to get stuff through a cloud, because they did say that they were going to put in the type of stats and stuff in those clouds where people's maybe shields maybe would be inoperative, or certain parts of the ship would be functional, or things like that, because of what the cloud can kind of cause some intermittencies.
Right.
And things like that. So it's going to be kind of hard for me to see a data runner going through a cloud, but going through those types of nebulas or things like that, maybe you can hide in those clouds and mask your signature. Who knows what CIG is going to put in there? I mean, Jericho, I mean, you probably can take a Herald and probably listen in, because Jericho is more like a military installation.
Right.
You know, type deal. So you may be able to listen to what's going on. I mean, you know, with the type of ships that are porting into Jericho, because it's not just your typical small ships. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they're going to monitor what may be going on out there, especially with that threat that CIG is talking about from those groups of people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. All right, let's jump to the next one then. We talked about the repair and data running at 9%. This is interesting. Medical and VIP transport. Now, what do you think about those? Do you think that that's something that, I mean, yeah, I guess. VIP transport, I'm a little bit surprised about, to be honest with you. Not medical. Not medical. Now, mind you, I want VIP transport. Don't get me wrong, but I'm surprised VIP transport was at that level. Kimmy, do you think if between those two, do either of those you think would come in first, VIP transport or medical? Which one do you think they might drop in first?
Wow. You again, when you look at the basis of the two, VIP transport, it involves NPCs. Medical, it involves more further iteration of the existing med beds. So with that said, with them working towards persistence, I would probably lean towards the medical in that sense, that we already have some of the ships that have the medical beds provided, and then they can further iterate on that gameplay feature, especially when we saw the reunion and I saw the guy, the main villain with the cybernetic eye. Again, that's one of those things to say, oh, we're going to start using parts and such to incorporate into that as reviving and getting people back online and things working. And if you go to Delamar, you have what's her name? She's a mission giver. She has a cybernetic leg already. I mean,
Tessa, whatever her name is. Yeah, Tessia.
Yep. Yeah. So I would lean towards medical.
Okay. I would Kimmy, just so you'll know, Easy CE disagrees with you. He says he needs somebody to fly him around the verse, so that's why he says he's going for VIP transport. Okay, yeah. He says he's going VIP transport.
07.
Oh, Easy CE, thank you for this. Thank you for the subscribe. We appreciate that. Let's move on very quickly here. Past VIP transport. I think what's our next one that we had? 8% is refueling. I'm surprised. Now, I do want to see refueling. Some of you all have talked about the fact that, Kimmy, was that you? Somebody took a ship out not too long ago and ran out of fuel. I don't remember which one. Was it you?
I know I did on the Nomad and.
Well, that's because the fuel shortage. There was a fuel shortage with that ship. Yeah, but
I was
still.
like a few hundred feet from the hangar, and I'm just floating down, and I'm looking up in the hangar, and I'm just twisting, trying to strafe up, like jump up there. I'm like, if I can, I'm like that far away, and I'm just like, I couldn't do a damn thing.
Okay. So now to Kimmy's point, good thing that this new reclaiming thing wasn't in at that time, because that would have been one of those cases where you would have wanted somebody to refuel you. Otherwise, the price he would have had to have paid to abandon his ship would have been sitting there on him. So this is going to make us start paying attention to our fuel gauges a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Mind you, if y'all got an Origin 100 series, you ain't got to worry about none of this static. But
At
I
all.
will get my plug in on
At
the
all.
Origin. All right, but
Can of worms.
yeah,
ready to
but
open
that's
up.
something to think
Feel
about.
pretty, you better start decoupling.
Good point.
That's the
Good
truth.
point.
That's the truth. Start gliding through space. That's the truth. Set the
Yes.
engines off. That's a very good point. Let me ask you this: if refueling kicks in, are we going to see more Starfarers? Will they start being used either to refuel more, or will they be used to make money when they're able to pull gases from clouds and actually start refining? Which one do you think it'll be? Will people start using them to make money to refuel people? Or do you think it'll be more because they're using them for industrial purposes?
I think it's going to be more for industrial purposes with the Starfarer. I think if you're going to pull refueling online, and they're serious about that, you got to pull the Vulcan online, because you got to make it where somebody can get in to the game at the base level to experience something like that. So I know there's a lot of orgs who are ready and itching to pull their Starfarers out. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs, that are ready to pull their Starfarers out and make it that way. But for the little guys, you're going to need to pull that Vulcan online so they can dabble. Like, that's going to be great if you do it that way. So it's going to be a balance there, though, obviously. But I would love to see that.
Okay.
So
We
now
gotta be careful of misinterpretation. Go ahead, Kay.
I was saying now you're going to add the gameplay of drones.
Oh, yeah. If you get into the
Refueling
Vulcan,
drones.
because that's the way it has to do the work is with drones. Yeah, so that adds a whole nother different dynamic. Hey, Coffee, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in.
Sorry about that.
Kelosal, I'm going to bounce this one at you. I'm surprised at this one. 7%. Bounty hunting, way down on the list. Hunting, way down on the list. What's going on with that? After all the hype of being able to go out and get bounties and the Cutlass Blue coming out, it's only at 7%. What do you think's going on with that? Do you think a CIG has not shown it in a way that makes it where people are licking their chops for it? Because we know that a lot of the mechanics aren't there. The handcuffs aren't there. You've got a Cutlass Blue right now, but you can't even put anybody in the chamber, right? Do you think that that's kind of maybe why people are kind of not really all that motivated by it right now?
I mean, I think the sound that we heard of the transportation going away is exactly what's going on with bounty hunting.
My apologies.
All good, man.
I thought that was perfect because it seemed either way. I don't think they're ready for it yet. I don't think they're ready, and that was I thought that was perfect sound editing right there because they're just we still waiting on the handcuffs. You got people who own the Cutlass Blue who's still waiting on those batons that they said that they would give up.
Batons, yeah.
Don't forget the batons. So. And then we got people. I mean, I originally bought the Avenger. Was it the Stalker? I believe that had the which one? Which one of those Avengers that had the bounty
that had the cells in it? Yeah.
Yeah, the cells, and they had to be remodeled, remade, and things like that because you couldn't get into it at first, and then and they finally remastered them. So I think they're still working on that type of tech. I don't know how confident they are yet as far as letting us know what they have, if they have anything, maybe because they're focused in on other things. Maybe that was one of those priorities that got pushed back.
Well, I'm a little nervous about it because, and I thought this was Kimmy, because it seemed like they were starting to move that way, right? The Blue came out, they brought in body dragging, they talked about the fact that the electron rifle will eventually be able to stun people and knock them out and not kill them. So do you think it's just because it kind of stalled, Kimmy, that's why that bounty hunting thing just hasn't really gone further? Because someone here, Dirk, says here that people don't really seem to be into PvP that much. Now maybe that's because of the prison system.
No. I'd say au contraire, mon frere.
Okay.
What you see behind me is the fact that how quickly have we seen homesteads become a thing now, from sketch to in-engine, like overnight, literally overnight. One thing I can say when I say this, Mandalorian, when you start adding these components for PvP to happen, to chase bounty, you got to have these locations, these places for them to hide. It's the cat and mouse involved in that. And then when we're talking on the back end side, the FPS, they got to get server timing together. Once they get the server timing, which basically has the same time frames for each server, Then they can bring up the server ticks, which will make the FPS experience very snappy. So those components there, what I'm saying, will then incorporate or allow them to bring in bounty hunting itself. So yeah, we need those places to hunt them down, and where it's a mission that it's not a thing that you accomplish that moment while you're in game. We're talking about weeks, if not months, to have a number of targets you're tracking, and all of a sudden something comes up on your Moby, and it's like, oh, that's the one I'm looking for, and you have like 24 on your list to track, but you happen to be in that area, or they're hanging out in that homestead. You talk to the bartender, and it's like, oh yeah, he lives down the street. He's a bum because he don't even tip me. So yeah, so you want to treat people right because of your reputation system.
Right.
You get ratted out.
Okay.
You will get ratted out.
Okay.
So
That's a good
yeah, you
point.
need those components to make it's gonna. Chris is pushing. Trust me, he's pushing fast because he knows about Mandalorian.
It's a good tie into the reputation system too, Kimmy. Thanks for throwing that in with that. Colossal, number 6%, farming. Are you interested? Or are you just not into digging no dirt? You just need to forget that. That's not your thing. Are you into farming?
I mean, farming could be anything. It could be. I mean, give me some bios first.
Well, I'm saying in relation to that's one of the categories, and I'm assuming they're talking about the fact that we were able to buy land. Is that something that people will want to be? You know, I listen, brother. I know how it is. We ain't trying to go back to the fields or nothing. I'm just asking you about farming. Is that something that you would be interested in? Y'all know I'm just kidding, y'all. Nope, he says no. He said, "Oh, I wish I was." No, he ain't doing that. Okay,
Sure.
okay, no. Do any of you guys own land? When the Pioneer came out, did any of you guys ever buy a plot?
It's like the Pioneer, man. I wish I did. I wish I coulda, woulda. But K, I can say to K, they appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Oh man.
10th, you didn't buy any land either.
I didn't get in on that, so I'm looking for the next go around, and it probably not to, create any agriculture. I know water farms are going to be big, that kind of deal, but I would probably get land for like development, and so if that does turn into something, it won't be. I know there's a lot of people who want to play the game as a homesteader, like I want to go in and I want to do the deal. I would probably buy it for investment purposes.
Okay.
Nice.
To fuel the whole deal. So, yeah, we'll see.
The space cows got to eat something, right?
Hey, listen. Hey, Dirk says farming needs an actual use. Farming for the sake of farming doesn't make sense. And Dirk, what I would suggest is easy game mechanic. And I'll tell you what the easy game mechanic is, because we talked about how in other games, like I always default to this game, Star Wars Galaxies, how there were people who did nothing but like farming or mining or making clothes. That's all they did. They never literally left their moons or their planets. What you can do is based upon demand in the universe, and this is where Tony Z stuff comes in. If you've got as Kenny just mentioned a few seconds ago, if you've got a locale, a homestead, if you've got a small city, if you have a base or some place that needs food, that needs raw materials, there are people who will be happy to do nothing but plant that stuff and sell it. That's what they will dig doing. And so if it's whether it's a new what's the word I want to call it when people go and set up a new colony and they need to have those type of things sent there. It's got to come from somewhere. Now, sure, we could probably buy it from NPCs, but they could, you're right. But it could also be manufactured by game players who will be more than cool. You guys have already seen that they have these horticulture and these growing places on the moons already. Yes. So imagine now when that's your place, you own it. You're making a certain type of something that people like Kelosal come and buy from you. He's got the ships to move it. You don't ever have to leave your moon. And he's paying you cash on the spot right there for your stuff that you're making. What are you going to say, Kelosal?
Right, and I was about to say it, and Admiral Kusanagi went ahead and took it. Thank you, Admiral. We don't want to limit ourselves to just land, because the Endeavor, the Black Horse of all ships, has 2 biodomes, and you can farm there. And don't forget, those of us who've been in Star Citizen for a long time, remember when they gave us those hangars and they gave us those plants that they could have given us and they somehow stopped?
This is true.
So there's a lot of things that you can do. You don't have to be one of those plot lovers over there, you can go ahead and be out in space and mind your space weed. I mean, your
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Blackwater go, but hang on a second. Blackwater go. Hang on, Tim. Blackwater go. Thank you for the word outpost. That was what I was asking. We had to give a shout out to Xylo. Xylo, hey, Xylo has a question. He says, "Why does Kimmy look so cool?" That's because Kimmy is cool. That's why he looks cool. All right, Tenth, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
They're synonymous, Xylo. They're synonymous. You can replace Kimmy with cool, and you still everybody. But you know what the cool thing is, though? What I would love to see happen is even with like my homesteaders, even if you're farming in the Endeavor or you have a plot of land or whatever, the cool thing that would happen is if in the trading, because knowing that a lot of people want to see trading come online, in the trading, if Tony Z's Quanta comes through, it would blow my mind as a finance professional if like futures trading, and maybe not futures trading, but a futures market came online whereby I'm locking in a price for whatever I'm selling.
Yeah. And,
regardless of where the market goes, I lock that in and there's a seller or a buyer on the other side. And that level of intricacy inside of the verse would be phenomenal. I mean, it would make it seem as though making the choice to be a homesteader or a farmer is worthwhile wealth-wise, right? Yep. Instead of just saying, well, I got to do it because, well, somebody has to do it. Maybe I'll do it on my alt account, just to keep the economy,
right,
wherever, right? I think Tony Z wants to make it as like, when I make a choice, like I want to do this because it looks cool and it's going to benefit me, right. The same way a pilot will consider the path, and the same way, a transport person would consider their path. I would love if that it would be more attention to detail. And Star Citizen has already shown that there's the level of detail and attention to these things is phenomenal. So,
well, to your point,
pretty cool.
To your point, when we've gone into the business centers, we do see where the market prices are there. We've seen where the tickers are rolling, right? So for that person who is a homesteader, maybe on my homestead, I'm growing a certain thing right now, but I happen to see that the market is swinging or the demand is swinging another way. So now, Kimmy tells me that he's going into, a Microtech or R-Corp. And I say, Kimmy, do me a favor. Can you check on the prices of so-and-so? Maybe I'm going to change out my whole harvest. You know what I'm saying? Based upon projections of what I think might happen, what's going to be the demand based upon wherever I'm at, whatever system I'm in or whatever the case may be. So there's a whole lot of stuff, like you said, that we can go with. Colosal's over there raising his hand like a school.
I got you.
In there this one.
Go ahead.
Because I was just thinking about it. Thank you, Griff, because, you guys have seen Farming 19 or whatever it is that is out there, and it's basically...
Farming Simulator,
yeah. Right? CIG, and we know every planet is going to be different, and if they can get a tech out there or some, if there's technology in the game that can sit there and say, okay, at this we know that these types of vegetables or biomes, whatever, are harvestable on this planet, and it's only good at this time of year. Maybe a certain time part in the game that you have, maybe a certain time of day or things like that, and so forth. Maybe you got your MFD that can actually show you the areas that are good, what you have in the inventory, or even if you have an MFD, like maybe an Endeavor that has an MFD that's certainly geared towards the trade, right? And you're just looking at the markets that's going on either in that system, or if your system is good, throughout the galaxy or what have you. So these are the other things that maybe could happen, but boy, would it be great if you're able to understand the type of land that you're on, if you're not in land, or if you're in your own biodome like the Endeavor, and you're able to make certain items based off of the seasons, or based off of the type of soil or things that you have that can help that thing grow. I mean, I'm excited, Endeavor lovers.
That could be cool. That's awesome.
Kimmy, go ahead. We'll hit Kimmy one more, and then we're going to move on to the next one.
I'm going to be real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
With all that said, guys, great points. How it's going to happen? You're going to have organizations. It's not going to be a random thing where I'm going to be over here and someone's going to be in Pyro, someone's going to be in Stanton. Organizations are going to say, plot my land right next to my other org member, next to my other org member, to the other org member. All of a sudden, your neighbors, your community. Now, who owns Endeavor? Okay, orbit that Endeavor right above the planet. Okay, who has land? Okay, go ahead and cultivate the land, grow foliage. All right, who has space cows? Put the space cows there. Feed the space cows.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is you immediately have a community that's a working one that will lend to all the variations of what these ships can do and all the resources that these orgs will have. They immediately will come together day one, immediately, basically set up shops, set up a community, a village right away, and get that thing working, because they're not going to go from Stanton to Microtech. They're going to do everything on that particular planet,
Right.
and then be able to go out and sell goods and such. But they're going to be self-sustained, basically.
Admiral Kusanagi says moo, and I agree. Admiral Kusanagi.
Whammers.
Yeah, and to your point, Kimmy,
Lettuce, tomato, onions, pickles, ketchup.
I'm going to close out this farming piece to say this. Kimmy, you mentioned a good point about how orgs, because I know Test has already talked about doing something similar to that, but there's also going to be those independent people who aren't in orgs, but they will look for community of other independent people who may build out that homestead, that farming area. People who are like-minded about that career, and they may end up creating community, even though it's not an official quote-unquote, org per se, but they become a community, which is what an org is anyway. Let's move on to this next one, gang. Here's another surprise one, right? We said we were surprised that bounty hunting was so low. The next one that comes up is smuggling. Now, I'm a little surprised about that one, considering how big places like Jumptown were. And mind you, we know that what happened with Jumptown was the numbers and the prices changed in which you could make and profit. And we know CIG did that just because, they raise it to make it something that they want us to deal with. And then they drop it to get us disinterested to go do other stuff. We get that. But I was at Microtech a couple days ago. I told Kelosal about this. I was at Microtech a couple days ago. It was on my way to New Babbage. And on my map, when I brought up my Quantum, was a new place I'd never seen before called... The name of it.
You might just die on me, man.
No. I'm sorry. I had the wrong name in my head. What's the term for the place of the dead? The
Necropolis.
The Necropolis. The Necropolis. Thank you, Blackwater. The Necropolis. So I'm like, whoa, I've never seen that before. Now maybe it was there and I missed it, but I've gone there plenty of times. So I said, well, I've never seen this before. So I decided to fly down there. Well, on my way there, I noticed that the whole atmosphere was completely different than Microtech. The Microtech's usually got the flowery areas or the snowy areas. This was a barren area, and it looked like the place of the dead. I mean, it looked like Death Valley. I get down there. I don't know what's there. I get down there. There's a facility there. It looks kind of a spooky-looking facility. You go inside. There is a trade machine in there, and it is selling something. I'm not going to say what for those of you who haven't been there, but I did not hang around. I got back in my ship and left. So my point is that and I know a lot of people were looking for the tourists, right? Because they were worried about being able to have the smuggling compartment. We know we've got the MSR with the smuggling compartment. We don't know if that mechanic is working yet in relation to scanning yet. But is that what it's going to take for smuggling to kind of pick up? Because it's one of the lower things here that people in the community said they're interested in. They don't see it as profitable, I guess, right now.
Well, I think it's a correlation between what the community feels about bounty hunting as well, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many other things. In my perspective, there's so many other things that the team has to work on to make it so that smuggling, you can put together the pieces to smuggle. For instance, when you think about learning where areas are. Right, you're going to need those data runners who found it to maybe broker the information for you.
Right,
being able to get there, being able to get stuff onto your ship, or even intangible stuff like things you find on like a USB, or like you mentioned before, Griff, scanning areas. There's so many other things that I think come to play that will make this something that a certain group of people would love to do. But I think there's it maybe from CIG's standpoint, it might be further down the road, and what we're looking at here in the chart is the community is saying, well, that's okay, right? Like, because there's not a high priority for it yet, as opposed to the higher areas of repair, trade, et cetera. But once those things come online, I think you'll see those things happening. Pretty cool.
Kelosal, Mr. Orange is the new black. Has the prison system turned folks off? Has the prison system kept people, because you were trying to get the police to come after you. Do you think the prison system has cut back on this whole thing of transporting widow and stuff like that? Or is it just that it's not profitable enough that people, if the numbers were right, people would be out there doing it.
It's not profitable right now. I mean, I've been rehabilitated. Thank you, Clasher. I appreciate it. But I think the numbers, when they figure out what the numbers are going to be, I mean, it's all about risk reward, and they said that even in this last ISC, I believe. So if you feel like that the risk is going to bring in the more severe the risk, the better the reward, then they're going to do it. People are going to do it, and right now we know we've seen a scale back in those types of stems or those types of drugs and things like that. But I believe they will jack it back up. I believe that when they start putting, just like Tenth said, when they put those different levels of scannings, those scanners in the game, it's going to make things more interesting. It definitely is going to help up with the bounty hunt. I think bounty hunting and smuggling is going to come hand in hand. Because if you put both of them together, that's what 11% right there, about 12% of the deal. So I do think that there are a lot of aspects that need to come in order for that to be a little bit more appreciated. And things like that. So when they do up the ante of those drugs, then you're probably going to see scanning, or people are going to have different levels of scanners in gaming. Go to Microtech, by the way, if you want to look at different components that you could look at that they're looking at to be placed in the game.
Okay, Kimmy, let me throw this at you. Then we're going to move to the next topic. Smuggling. A lot of times when people thought about smuggling, we think about drugs, we're thinking about contraband, stuff like that, right? But when we watched the movie The Reunion, there was a person being smuggled, the Banu. Is that going to be another aspect in these ships where maybe missions where you're transporting somebody that you don't want to have scanned, or maybe even criminal elements? Because right now there's this mechanic, right, that if you're on my ship and you're a criminal and the cops stop us, if they scan and hit you, they stop all of us, right? And either I got to say, hey, Kimmy, you got to get out and take a walk, or we all going to get into a big fight. Will people start thinking about using the MSR and the Taurus as a means to even move people back and forth without, getting caught?
Oh, definitely. Those types of ships are specifically for that. It maybe even said that the Taurus might do that. Again, it's NPCs and locations. And based upon what you guys mentioned, especially you, Griff, when you brought up Reunion, I can pull elements of that. When we looked at that location, let's say that's a smelting area or where you can fabricate metals. And let's say you're a pirate. And so with NPCs actually working, you can actually subdue NPCs, drag them onto your ship, unconscious, take them to a facility like that to be workers, to smelt metals or create components, and you make your money off of that. Keep in mind,
are you purporting slavery in the game here, Kimmy?
No,
I just want to make sure.
Trafficking.
Oh, okay. Oh, trafficking. Oh, you got a trafficking slavery. Okay.
I
just want to know. I just want to know.
I'm going back 5. Okay, I'm going back 5. All right, you going back 400, Griff. You getting
I just want to make sure.
Numbers messed up.
Okay,
you got to straighten them out.
All right, trafficking.
I'm
okay,
back
we're
5
trafficking.
Years, human trafficking.
Okay.
Okay. Griff,
I just want to make sure, man. I just want to know.
Too extreme.
I can't help it. It's in my DNA.
I can do the Princess Leia thing, but you went way back.
That's good though. No, but that's a good point. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, finish up. Go ahead. That's a good point.
I mean, just if 90% and people, they haggled over it and they lamented that 90% of the NPCs are going to be down trolling us, and no, those 90% can be a resource, be good or bad. You can capture them and haul them up and find out where facilities will need this kind of labor or work. You can force, instead of them going to these facilities that they want to go to, you can snatch them up and send them to where the pirates want them.
Kelosal,
other NPCs.
Kelosal, you have a true candidate for Sith. That's right beneath you right now. That's all I'm gonna say to you right now. Because this brother talking some serious Darth Maul stuff to me right about now. But I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. He found out how to get labor.
I'm watching Reunion. I'm looking at the villains. I'm just saying. I'm just echoing that. I mean,
You saw a
hey,
place for trafficking. I saw a shopping mall. I don't know. There's something different here. I don't know. But okay. All right.
hey, Griff.
I'm just
Tie-ya-ye.
teasing, guys.
Tie-ya-ye.
Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you. Okay. Touche to that. Okay. All right. Listen. All right. Listen to this last one. Now this is a category that we threw in because we haven't heard much about it. But there's a category here called entertainment, and that one's toward the bottom as well. For those of you who played Star Wars Galaxies, remember entertainers were really big in that game. They were vital to that game, in fact. They have talked about Fuddy Duddy Gamer, thank you for the follow. Marzipan, thank you for the follow. Azrael15, thank you for the follow. Shire War, thank you for the follow. And Easy C, if I didn't mention your subscription earlier, thank you for that as well. How can entertainers be something in this game? And let's look at entertainment from a bigger perspective. L-Doc, thank you for the follow. Let's look at it from the aspect of, we know that at Grimhex, they've put in the racing facility over there. We know that they've talked about ships like the 890 and other luxury ships may have certain locations that they could go to that are more like resorts. Is there gameplay in being an entertainer? Well, that could be anything. Remember, even for the trailer for the 890, when it came out for the commercial, there was a woman singing opera. Where can entertainment fit into this game? Because we've got all these places, and Kimmy's talked about this before. They didn't put these different places to sit and park and sit around just for the heck of it. Can entertainers have some form of gameplay? In Star Wars Galaxies, it was a way of people to heal when they went to go see them. Is there anything that entertainers could do in this game that would benefit the gameplay?
Yeah, I can imagine a situation where, morale is boosted. If there's some kind of, if organizations have like a morale, or troops or squads have something that way, boost morale. But having an area, I think it's good to have it, even if it didn't have a mechanic attached to it, as a way for people to just engage with other people in the game, just in downtime. If there was like, I can imagine your local bar having, some Tuesday night, whatever, Friday night, such, and you go down there with, your org or your buddies, and, I think kind of Wally's would be a great example, just how, lively that place can become. But I think pretty cool. It could be pretty cool to see that.
What if you became a DJ at Wally's? What if they actually allowed players to go up there and DJ, and you could get rated based on performing music? In fact, Dirk C says that he hopes that they can create some type of MIDI data translation in the game so that people could play their instruments and actually it would go into the game. That's pretty ambitious, Dirk. It's pretty ambitious, but but maybe there is something in the game that people can do as a skill, and people rate them and say, hey, that was a great song this person did in the game. Is that, you think? I think there'd be people who would probably do that. They sit around and come up with mixes all the time trying to create stuff for the game and build reputation. And if it buffs people in some form. Now, someone mentioned earlier, what's the word I want to look for? I don't want to use the word that they use, but they use that there could be people who are rendering services to other people as a morale booster. That could possibly happen too.
Oldest profession in the world.
The oldest profession in the world.
When you get games like that wonderful new game that just came out, it just makes me just go there.
Oh God, Cyberpunk.
All right, Griff. So can I take this, Griff? Sure. All right. So, I mean, even if we reference Star Wars Galaxies, which was one of the best games before they really demolished it,
up.
with the NGE mess. If you're gonna go ahead and go that, then the possibility is that you might be focusing on skill sets or talent, right? And I don't think that they wanted to go that route. I don't think so, if I remember correctly.
But couldn't it go into reputation though?
So that's what I was going towards.
Oh, okay.
So I was going towards the reputation part, because if you look at the Starliner, I believe, they talked about hiring NPCs. They talked about having people come on your ship and having people being able to fill out some type of documentation or cards on how well the service was.
Right.
each and every last one of them. So maybe if they give the opportunity to maybe hire NPCs that do exactly just that, entertain people. Maybe you might have a booth. They might say that I want a singer, so you hire a couple of singers or what have you, and you send them over to booth 12. Or you send them over to, they're going to be singing at this time for maybe 20 minutes or an hour or something like that. And if it's great, the people love it, depending on what type of clientele you have. I mean, I'm quite sure you're not going to have somebody who's going to be out there doing, heavy metal, and you got a bunch of sophisticated people out there talking about I don't want to listen to that, or things like that. So you got to pick and choose what types of singers or what have you, that you have that's going to accommodate or be empathetic to the type of clientele that you have in order to build that reputation. So if they're talking about iterations of reputation, that would be a good start off.
Okay.
If you're talking about entertainment, so that way you can continue on building your reputation in that galaxy or that part of the system.
Well, somebody in chat tied in the broadcasting and saying maybe those two could go hand in hand in some form too.
Events.
We've talked about the fact that there will be
Outdoor
people who will be
events.
using that Mako to cover different things, whether it be a race, the Daymar rally, whether it's some type of battle. And maybe there are people who are literally, they're broadcasters, right? And that falls into a category that they can get reputation for, for their news van, with whatever they're reporting on. And maybe there's some aspect, because I know we've talked about this thing. I know, Kelosal, you've talked about these screens that are all over the game, that they're there for a reason, and they're place holders right now. But ultimately, we want to be able to see things streamed that come across there, and whether it's people who have the ability to stream in a local area or a system, that will be very interesting to see how they create a mechanic for that. But I really would like to see, we talk about having a holistic game. I would love to be able to see for those people who literally, and I'm telling you, I know it sounds crazy. It was crazy for me in Galaxies, but there were people who were happy sewing clothes. That was it. They were just content with making people's clothes and getting paid. You know what I mean? And I would love to see that in this game with entertainment, that people who say, hey, I work at a certain casino or whatever it is, right? And that's my job in the game, and I get paid. People pay me when I'm there working. Whether it's even, we've got the NPC bartenders. What if there are people who are able to do bartending at a homestead, right? There's a local bar. You build that homestead with your pioneer, and this person is able to, dispense food and drinks from there. So I'm just saying there's so many different ways that we could see, even though it's one of the lowest level. I think entertainment is number 4. The lowest one is broadcasting. I think we've hit the last 2. Go ahead, Kenny, what were you going to say?
Even with our, real quick, even with our political leaders, senators in game, I envision like areas like Terra or Earth have these open air pavilions that they're due to speak, and they're going to make an announcement based on what's going to happen to the verse going forward, as far as, as you said, Tim. Once they're in place, what is their plan going forward? How are they going to address the people from time to time? Maybe they have quarterly announcements, and then that gets videotaped or recorded across the verse, as well as we got a Pedro Camacho in those same pavilions. He brings in NPCs that he personally said, I spoke with him, he personally loves jazz. Can you imagine how relaxing that is? To be with your friends at the pavilion, looking at each other, listening to the music, his music.
Yeah.
So there's no copyright issues. Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. Okay, well, let me close out with this question to my hosts here today. My question to you guys: what's your Christmas wish for Star Citizen right now? If there's something that you would wish for now, mind you, next week's show is going to be talking about 2021. So,
wow.
But I want to ask, what's your wish? What's the thing that you want to see? By the way, Kimmy, you and I have a standing bet that ends at the end of this month, and I don't know if you remember it, but I'm going to wait till the December 31st because it ain't over with yet. And if we get to January 1st, I'm going to remind you of the bet, because you and I took a hard bet back in like May or June.
I'm nervous.
Okay, yeah, it's nothing bad, but you're going to probably chuckle about it when I tell you about it, because I was a little nervous about this bet too. Anybody got it? Let me start with Tenth. What's your wish for something for Star Citizen?
Yeah, this is I'm ready for this. I was waiting for this all show.
Okay.
So guys, when you watch TV and they're selling commercials on cars and whatever, and the gentleman or someone always gets their significant other, and they open a box and there's a key, to a vehicle, and the vehicle is outside,
Uh-huh.
and it's wrapped in a bow.
Okay.
I would love for that. Is Xylo still here? Because I would love for him. No, I'm kidding. I would love to have a 400, an Origin 400, wrapped in a bow in my hangar.
Oh.
For Christmas.
Oh, for Christmas. Yeah, for Christmas, huh? Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to even look at. I'm not going to even look at the list to see if he's still here or not. So we'll just let that float out into the ether. You know.
I'm just gonna let it go.
What it's worth. Okay. All right. Kimmy, how about you? What's your Christmas wish for Star Citizen?
Oh my God, this is not a hard one. All right. He says, well, I'll give you a hint. It's a trap.
It's a trap. That is a trap.
It's a trap. Well, as you know, that alien, he's water based, so I would love to see underwater gameplay, submersibles, which will open up the door for maybe farming or harvesting kelp. Yeah. Also, a new iteration of mining itself, salvaging as well, seeing crashed vessels underwater, as also more aliens being introduced, very intelligent aliens underwater, dangerous creatures, like we saw in the reimagining of the Star Wars series, when they were actually underwater and you saw the large sea creatures. So that opens up so many dynamics. And as far as the business model, and I know Chad's like, oh no, here we go again. But yes, submersibles, having a vessel that can carry a submersible that could land on top of the water, as well as the fifth element of the 890 being able to sit
now listen,
on
you
top
going
of the
into
water.
my area now. You just took
going
seven.
there.
I said one wish. You put seven out there, and you just stole mine. Go ahead.
You're welcome.
No, I appreciate you mentioning that though.
You're welcome, gentlemen.
All right, Kelosal, what's your one wish that you see for Star Citizen?
I mean, with all due respect to the 12 days of Christmas, no criminal status, no mad, no more 30Ks, and a merchant man in my hangar. I mean,
oh, wait a minute. I gotta hear that again.
Please hit us with it.
Oh my God.
You only get one shot. The moment has passed. We can never.
He said you got to watch it on YouTube. He said you got to watch it on YouTube.
Watch the VOD, Kimmy. Watch the VOD.
You got me.
Too
you
funny.
got me.
That is funny.
Oh my God. No, you didn't.
That was good though. That was good. No, Kimmy hit it on the head. I would love to see us venture into, we've looked at space, we've looked at Terra, but to be able to look at the underwater dynamic would be interesting. But I was going to be greedy on the Origin side. That yes, I would love to see the Origin 890, the 600 be able to land or be on water as well as land. That would be my wish. That would be my wish. It has to happen. I would love to see that happen with that ship in particular, because it would also justify the investment on those ships as well. That's another aspect of it too, that it does something very unique that other ships don't do other than look good. So
Montreal, Canada. Think about Montreal, Canada too. They need a full, complete planetary tech gameplay or mechanic before it's handed off. They need underwater capabilities, so they have everything in-house. You can't hand off anything halfway done.
Very cool. All right, well, we are going to wrap it up. We have had a robust conversation today with our Christmas wishes and reviewing of 2020 with Star Citizen. And next week, we are going to be moving toward our show on 2021. Those of you who follow us on Friday Night Live, we will not be meeting for the rest of the year on Friday Night Live because of Christmas and New Year's. So we'll see you guys in 2021. And next Saturday, we will have a special guest on the Space Tomato, who is all the way over in India, is going to get some good sleep and be on with us next week for us to talk about what we're looking for and expecting in 2021. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you all for hanging out with us today. We thank you for all of our new followers. We thank you for the subscribers. We thank you all for all your great interactions in chat. As always, you guys always keep our chat very lively and fun. And of course, we want to tell you guys to Happy Kwanzaa. happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. Hanukkah just went by. Happy Hanukkah. And of course, we want to say happy Luminalia. That just this week, Luminalia, this week, starting December 22nd. Don't forget. And by the way, they put a really special piece in. There's a lot of contests and stuff going on this week. You guys make sure that you all keep an eye open for those contests. But here's the thing that you really want to dig into. Star Citizen CIG this year has a new thing that says if you get a new person to sign up, they will give you and that person a dragonfly, a Drake dragonfly. This is pretty good stuff just to get somebody to sign up for the game. So I would highly suggest that you take advantage of that because that is really good. I think it goes to like December, I forget the date, the 11th, the 7th, but check it out. And it's LTI. Thank you, Admiral. It's LTI on top of it. So if you guys want to get a dragonfly from CIG just for pumping it up and telling somebody about this great game, you guys definitely take advantage of that. TenthSigma, where can people find you?
I don't stream, but I'm on the shows. So you find me on Soul Citizens or back at Vector 27, which is my org. We usually cover the news. We're trying to figure out how that might work in the new year, just due to some changes, but we usually cover the news as well in a different kind of format. But you can always find me here with the crew of Soul Citizens. Love being a part of this group. You guys are amazing. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, whatever you want to say to everyone here. Great show tonight, boys.
Thank you. Kimmy, you the man. Where people can find you?
Oh my gosh. You're going to find me here. Soul Citizens on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to find me sometimes on Friday Night Lives. It's really late. I like hanging out. And you're going to find me on Kimmy65 on Twitch as well. Gotta say, without this community and what SIG is doing, none of this would be possible. And I gotta say, great group of guys here. Guys, you've blown my minds, and I cannot say enough about you all. Happy holidays to y'all, man, and to the best of it, to the best all of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kimmy. Thank you. And Kelosal, where can people find you?
You'll find me on. I mean, it's vacation time. So I'm on vacation. Yay. So I can go ahead and play with the testes and Griff and and Kimmy is always good to see you, and Tenth as well is always good to see you.
Back at you guys.
And to enjoy the Festivus and the Suli, and it's time to celebrate. It's a celebrate.
Yes.
So we're gonna celebrate the new year, get rid of the old one, and bring in the new one with my brand new merchantman and all this good stuff. We're way too excited. Happy New Year. Be safe to you all.
Mm-hmm. And we are still looking for that Origin 400 and the Crusader C2. We are looking for those bad fellas to come out within 3.12 something. So let's hope that happens. That would be another great Christmas wish. You guys,
I'm demoing the Eye Tracker 5, y'all, on my channel. Check it out. So I'm gonna give you some feedback and some go-tos. There's some little things that are different according to the because the 312 changed a lot. So be looking out. Hit me up on or DM me on Discord or whatever. I can give you some hints on that. But I like it.
Okay. You guys be sure to check out Kimmy65 on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for your time. As always, we are going to raid someone new and different. Mops33. You guys give Mops33 a shout. Say hello. Follow. He's only got 7 people there, so be a little friendly to him. Say Soul Citizen, send some love. I'm going to stop in a couple seconds, but encourage him. It's the holiday. Don't forget about the Luminalia this Tuesday, starting on December 22nd, 2 days. Tell people about Star Citizen. You guys enjoy the holiday. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. And as always, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care.